were like, "Oh, you have one of the interesting parts. Things happen."
Yeah.
And I was like,
Riley,
"Yeah, I fucking guess."
Riley just said it doesn't get interesting until my part. Fucking could have fooled me. This shit was boring as fuck.
I wouldn't call my part boring, but it was horribly written, and
Yeah, we'll get into that as we
yeah,
get
yeah,
into
yeah. I
it.
was not
I'm
ready. I
struggling to
also I need to read
remember.
over my in-game chat that my section opened with,
Mine opened with one too.
because what the fuck? I had no idea what was going on.
Mine was like that too. It opened mid-chat.
Okay, so enemy in-game chats for 4 of the 8 moderators. Who's
Hey.
Hartella?
Hey, how's it going, y'all?
Hello,
Hi.
Waylon.
We'll talk
What would you
about
like
it, but
to
yeah,
know?
just, what the fuck? All right. Who's Maverick? I still don't know who Maverick is. Is it a company? I think Maverick's a company.
We'll get into
yeah.
it.
Who had the first section again? I barely understood what happened to my section.
David Jazz is the first section. He won't be here.
But I know
Oh,
it
no.
all.
So
Yeah, Riley read the whole thing, so we have them all.
Oh, beautiful.
Don't reveal anything until it's time.
Okay,
Yeah.
I won't. I will say though that I tried to actually figure out the plot of the book, and so the
I
only
also have my own
synopsis that I could find was on Wikipedia.
You weren't supposed to do that.
Well,
yeah, I
did it
didn't look
anyway,
it up. I thought you were saying you tried to like piece it together from your segment alone.
I have not.
Well,
I have not read.
No, I mean, I read my segment and then I tried to
Fine.
look it up. But you'll be happy to hear, Hunter, that the Wikipedia article is, the synopsis is like, Catherine and Janet stop by the agency and they find out that Stryker has been there. It's like, who? What? Like, the synopsis was not helpful. It was like J.K. Rowling wrote the Wikipedia article for this world, so it was not helpful in the slightest bit.
No, there's not enough annoying accents, I'm sure. Or
oh yeah,
if you're going to quote from the book and it's dialogue, you have to read it in a British accent. You have to. You absolutely have to, or else, because the book it's predicated on that idea that most every character is British.
All right, there's going to be no way that I can actually remember this off the top of my head unless I'm going through it and actually looking at the notes I took. So we're just going to do that once we get to me.
Yeah, I did not take notes. I skimmed a lot of the portions of my segment.
I took screenshots.
I barely remember anything what happened.
Waylon, your section is so fucking boring.
My section was unbelievably boring. I did, like, there were pages where I'd be like, then I'd like just be skimming through it.
Hi, Wasim.
So fucking boring.
What's up? What section did you have?
I had the second section.
Oh, that makes sense. My section was fucking wild.
Obviously.
Mine's the end. The fucking book doesn't make any goddamn sense.
Yeah, mine also follows yours near the end, and it was like big reveals were happening, but I didn't know who anyone was.
No, same. When the whodunit is revealed, when the whodunit was revealed at the end, I'm like, who?
It's more like a who is this?
Who done it?
Who?
Literal who done it.
Oh man, I wish David Jazz was able to be here.
Yeah. Did he record some thoughts? He said some stuff about how like it's really awkward for the time period, right?
I feel like that was me. Hello, Davis.
Hi.
Hey,
awkward for the time period.
I think this is everyone we had scheduled.
Probably.
You mean old?
Scheduled.
Like,
scheduled?
No.
We're going to be talking in our accents, innit? Hey?
Yeah, excuse me.
We gotta help Waylon
I'd
used
rather
to
I
it
die.
before his right old plane takes him over there.
The entire time I'm there, I'm going to be laughing because I'll be, oh my god, you sound just like Stewie Griffin.
He doesn't sound like Stewie Griffin. He sounds like Michael Caine. Mr. Wade.
Anyway, Waylon, I'm gonna need that report from you later.
Waylon, I'm going to need
what's
that
so
report
funny?
from you later.
Just like, oh, what the deuce?
Yeah.
Oh. Yeah, you know, like you sound like Stewie Griffin. Right.
Right.
Okay.
Right. Well, I've got to get right used to it. In it.
All right. So what's the format of the discussion like? Are we
Yeah,
all going to go in turns and talk about a section with Riley?
I think we should go in order of the segments, yeah.
Yeah,
that
and
makes
then
the most
I
sense.
think also, or at least I am going to try to predict what will happen after my section, and we'll see if I'm right.
Essentially.
And also, anyone
Okay.
else is also free to make predictions, so long as they didn't cheat.
Okay, does
I didn't
anybody else,
cheat.
other than myself and Riley, know who done it?
I don't.
No.
I have zero clue
No
as to what
idea.
this book is about.
I don't, but I feel
tried
like
to
my
cheat,
segment
but I
was
couldn't
beating me
really.
over the head with who did it. So
I'm pretty sure her, like, I'm pretty sure her fans killed her, right?
Well,
That's
yeah.
that's gonna be the red
Or-
herring. Although it's going to, it's
Part
you
of
know, it's their fans killed her in the same way that the entire town of Twin Peaks killed
yeah, I
Laura
was just
Palmer.
gonna say the same thing.
So I had a prediction about it, and I guess I'll get to that in my section. I had a prediction for the way it was going to end.
I want you
Okay.
all to know that from my perspective, having only read the end, the book is not at all about Eddie Ledwell. She's barely mentioned. I had no. She's
Yeah.
suddenly in the last couple pages. I'm like, who the fuck is this bitch? The book has nothing to do with her by the end. Like
Yeah.
literally.
So she,
Yeah, I don't have really any idea who she is. I just kind of know that she was murdered.
Yeah. Same.
she dies in my segment,
Yeah.
but it was like revealed in a very boring way. It was like all of the hot private agents were meeting in their conference room when one of them got a ping on their cell phone. Eddie Lowell found dead.
Okay,
She was shocked reading it, and then
we
like
have
it
you
just
go
goes
first,
on to the
Leland?
next segment. Do
Should
I
we,
do
should
what?
we have you go
What the
first,
fuck?
No.
or just have Riley briefly cover?
No,
it?
I say Riley.
Riley, please recap part one. We need
Okay,
to
yeah,
we
yeah,
need
yeah.
to
Just
organize
part one.
this.
Start
We're
from the
talking about our parts already because we all
Sorry,
want to
sorry,
get this
sorry.
shit off our chest. This book
I'm
sucks
Steven
ass.
David Jazz. I'm sorry, I'm not bald and very smart, but section 1 opens with something that doesn't fucking matter. It's Robin's birthday, and Strike took her out to dinner, and they almost kiss, but they did not kiss, and it becomes something they think about for the entire book.
Oh, I'm excited for my section.
Oh
it's
no.
so bad. And then, like, a lot of time passes. Robin goes on vacation. Strike finds a girlfriend who kind of looks like Robin.
Oh god.
I know, isn't
Yeah.
it sad?
Yeah, I got to
What's the
that.
girl-
Yeah, I got references
Madeline
to that.
is
Madeline.
Strike's girlfriend.
I'm Madeline. I'm
I didn't even-
Madeline.
There's like
Madeline
200
W's.
names,
And
and
then
I
there's
and I never
Madeline.
even got a Madeline. Just putting it out.
Madeline keeps on winning. That's all I can.
Madeline.
Madeline
Madeline
doesn't
scores
matter.
another W.
Madeline goes so fucking hard. On myself. You're not even ready.
Okay, Madeline
Wait,
does
Riley,
come
what
up.
happens?
So anyway, we also get some, like, article from 2011 talking about the Ink Black Heart, this new cool cartoon on YouTube that people like, and it's he and Josh talking about what the Ink Black Heart is, which is they got stoned and thought of a cartoon, and they had some friends to be voices, and they could animate, so
Okay.
they did that, and then people liked it.
Dear Paperwhite, how do you type with boxing gloves on?
Yeah, I was gonna say, so it's like Homestar Runner.
Yeah.
Essentially Homestar Runner. But like weirdly
It's like
gothic.
it's like salad fingers mixed with Homestar.
Yeah,
Runner.
it's salad fingers and Homestar
I
Runner.
got the weird, like, cute morbidity that I got from the vague snippets in my section led me to believe that it was something like salad fingers or something
Yeah,
like that.
that's what I was comparing it to earlier when we were talking about this.
Yeah.
It's isn't like the main character like Hearty the Heart or
Yes,
something?
he is a heart who escaped from a cadaver's body, and he's in love with a ghost named Paperwhite.
Is it a Kingdom Hearts
Um,
character? What the fuck?
Oh.
Yeah.
So by the way, Hearty is like one letter away from Harry, I should say. Like,
Yes, I was thinking the same thing.
Okay.
Hardy is several letters away from Harry.
but it's like kind of like
And
Harry.
some
It's like
fans
one
make a
thing
game.
away from Harry.
The game is called Drex Game, and it's based on an in-show game that's not really a game that Drek forces the other players to play. And it's not really a game. He makes up all the rules. None of the rules are fair, and no one has a good time. But for some reason, they decide to fans decide to make the game.
That sounds like a description of this very podcast that we're doing right here. That no one understands the rules and they're not fair, and we're all forced to do it.
And secretly, one of us had this idea.
And the game is coded and created by Anomi and Morehouse. They're both fans of the game. And then we get an interview later, in 2012 or something, where Edie says that she doesn't really like the fan game. She's like, in the show, Drex Game isn't really a game, and it's nothing. So it's really weird that you made a game out of it, and it's whatever. Essentially, she doesn't care for it. And then we get more moderator chats where they're like, that fucking bitch doesn't like our game.
Riley,
Wow.
How are we seeing these moderator chats? Are they just from the perspective of the mods, and there's nobody looking at a screen, right? It's just presented.
So it's omniscient.
Just presented.
Omniscient moderator text in a detective story, showing us exactly what the villains are doing, but not in a cool Columbo way.
No, not at all in a cool Columbo way.
Okay, wait. I'm sorry, go on.
You're just posting through it.
Yeah, it's there's a heading on the page. It's like a subhead that says the date, and then in-game chat.
It's like scrolling through a chat log.
You're reading a chat log in the middle of whatever they're talking about.
I had a huge chat log section.
And then Ink Black Shart gets picked up by Netflix, and then in 2015 it also gets picked up for a potential movie. And that's where we are there.
Wait, it gets picked up for what in then a movie?
It gets picked up for a Netflix show.
Oh, right.
And then Maverick, some kind of production company, they sign a movie deal in 2015 where the rest of our story occurs.
So, I have two comments. Oh, go ahead.
Sorry, Maverick, I just want to get some clarification because a lot of these words appear in my section, but I don't know what they are. Maverick is not a person, it's a production company.
I believe it's a company, yeah.
Okay, so two questions. One, so just to clarify, this is this opening section just flashing back and forth between Carmoran's Strike being a boring ass fucking stumpy loser who is constantly grumpy and not particularly doing anything, and unrelated at the time digressions into this video game.
Yes.
And no crime has occurred yet.
No.
And this goes on for 100 pages.
Oh, yeah.
The first 122 pages.
Hang on. I'm sorry. What? He's just sitting around playing this fucking game for 100 fucking pages?
He's not even playing.
He's not even playing?
Also,
he's just having a shitty time with his fake ass leg.
I thought that Drex Game was like a forum. I didn't realize it was is it like an MMORPG or something?
It is like a VR thing.
It's essentially like you're playing RuneScape or Club Penguin.
Yeah, I was gonna say it's like Habbo Hotel.
It's like a nondescript game. She doesn't want to describe the game. She just wrote a game in.
J.K. Rowling has such disdain for her fans that she's never looked at a video game ever.
Absolutely.
I just can't believe you would put a game front and center in your book and be like, I'm not gonna fucking describe that.
So
it would have been better if she described it as one or two syllables off from Harry Potter and the Chamber of Secrets for the Nintendo GameCube. If it was
what was that website?
Pottermore.
Pottermore.
Like Pottermore, but
could you walk around in Pottermore?
No, but she
that was a forum.
She also had an active role in Pottermore,
yeah.
So that's another issue with it.
And second,
heart in the Cambridge graveyard.
But I want to say that there is a delicious irony, and perhaps even an intentional one, of the creator of the show talking about how it's pointless that people made a game out of this fake game because the rules don't make sense, and we have quote-unquote professional Quidditch leagues.
Oh, right.
But, okay, the last important thing that happens in this chapter is the collection of a dossier, which is...
a dossier?
Huh?
Good old dossier. Oh,
Dossier.
Wasim.
Yeah.
Love it.
Do we want to?
He'll-
Wasim's just popping in and out.
Wasim will
Hello.
pop in and out all day. Hi, Wasim.
Wasim, you good?
And part of knowing about the dossier includes knowing that there are 8 moderators to this game. There are Hartella, Paperwhite, Friendly One, Vile Pecora, Worm28, Anomi, and Lord Drek. Those are all of the moderators.
Okay.
And people get really weird about Anomi and think maybe Anomi could be Edie online, which would be really weird.
Yes, Wasim. I think I heard you type.
Hello, Wasim?
Yeah?
Are you talking? Because now I can't hear you if you're talking right now. So I assume you probably are.
Punished Wasim.
But can he hear us?
Oh, I like Wasim better this way.
Petition to make this a
Hear
permanent
us.
change. We can
I
can hear you type.
Not at all.
Nope. Yep.
I
Oh.
can hear you type.
Okay, yeah, we can hear you type.
Maybe he has
Can you hear me
headphones
talk?
plugged in.
Yes,
Yes.
Yes.
now we can hear you.
Wait, his what was plugged in?
He can't hear us. He can't hear us.
Right, but I thought someone said, "Oh, his something is plugged in."
No, I'm guessing that he might have headphones plugged in. I don't know because I can hear him
Oh,
type.
yeah.
So maybe it's like those Apple headphones where like the mic is on the wire and it's like next to his keyboard. I don't know.
Maybe he
I'm just
plugged
like
the
throwing out an idea. I don't.
he
fucking
swapped
know.
the mic and the headphone jacks.
Yeah.
Oh, possibly.
Hello.
Hello.
Can you hear me now?
Yeah.
Yes.
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 Sorry, my computer's acting fucked. I'm gonna just be on my phone until I can get it working.
Okay.
Okay.
You have a great sound quality on your phone.
Yeah, your phone sounds better.
In comparison to your computer.
I'm on my Mac too, which sounds better than my normal computer. Anyway, continue. Sorry.
All right.
Okay.
All right. So
I
we're
am
talking about
almost
the
done with
moderators,
section
and
one.
they think Edie is enemy.
Yeah. So the big question is, who the fuck is Anime? No one knows.
Gee, who's Anime? Man, it's not like that's gonna be fucking
Yeah.
drilled into our heads for the entire book.
For 1,200 pages, but yes, 2 of the moderators, Lord Drek and Vile Pecora, create a dossier of quote-unquote proof or evidence that Anomi is secretly Edie, who's trying to drum up like drama online for more like attention to be given to the Ink Black Heart, and also so people feel bad for her online and say nice things about her.
Oh wow.
So they send this dossier of proof to the other moderators, separate from Anomi, and they're like, hey, Hartella, you know Josh and Edie in real life. Give this dossier to Josh so that he knows all of this information and knows that Edie is doing this to herself for attention, and you can confront her about it. And Hartella's like, I will do that. I know Josh. And
Wow.
that's the end of section 1.
Okay.
Wow. So that may have been resolved in my section, but I did not absorb it.
Oh yeah, this is where our discussion gets good.
Because that does sound kind of interesting. So just to tell y'all, my experience of reading this was reading on like election night or like on my phone. I would just like scroll through 10 pages as quickly as I could. And so my experience reading it was less the conveying a coherent linear narrative.
Hello.
We can hear you.
Hey, we can hear you, Wasim. And more just like a series of flashing vignettes that just wash over my mind in non-sequential order, and that I can't tell if I read them, I dreamt them, or if they really happened to me. So I think my section begins with like a bunch of private eyes or something, and they're like meeting in some gloomy London conference room, and there's a guy named Stryker who apparently the thing you need to know about him is that he's a total badass, and that is his character. And So they're meeting, and there's like a ridiculous Scottish person who everyone is laughing at all the time, no matter what he says.
Is his
he's-
accent written out?
Yeah, of course it's written out. It's like
Thank God.
How would we know?
Is his name Josh?
I know it's like I can't remember. There are like
Blay?
1,200 characters in here.
Sorry.
There are like 1,200 characters in here. And I mean, but everyone laughed at whatever he says in the conference room because they'll, the other private eyes were like, "Oh, latest victim, she's as
my
dead
God, I
as a
forgot.
fish," and the Scottish guy will be like, "Dead as a fish. That's like my wife when we're having sex," and like everyone will laugh. And, I don't know what happened. There was a bunch of shit happening that I didn't understand, and some chat logs between White House and
White House, Texas.
it was like White House and more or something, or who was the other person?
Paperwhite and Moorhead?
Also, Waylon, I
Or
completely
Paperwhite's
forgot. Also, in my section, Edie physically comes to the detective agency before she's murdered.
They
and
mentioned that.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So they
she
mentioned.
comes in,
Yeah.
and it's described as saying, "I fear for my life. I'm being threatened online." And
Everyone laughs at her.
no, Robin is like, "I want to help you, but we're not equipped to do like internet investigation.
We're too
more of a
old."
Shoes to the ground agency. Try someone else."
So that would come to haunt Robin because in their super cool badass club that they all are employed by, it was also super unclear to me what they do.
They're
Like,
private detectives.
They're private detectives.
The whole agency of private detectives. It's just the fucking mystery team.
So, because during one of their cool banter sessions, Robin, I think, gets like a notification on her phone that someone named Eli or whatever has been murdered in the Highgate Cemetery, and she's very sad about it. And she's like, "That poor woman had come to me, and I turned her down, and now she's dead." And so there's like one page of rueful regret of, what if we had helped her. And the Scottish guy is like, "Oh, she would have probably been killed anyway." And anyway, so that happens, and then there's a bunch of chat logs between White House and Moorhead where they sort of talk. They're like, "Yeah, fucking bitch, I can't believe she's dead, but also she fucking deserved it," and just being awful on the internet.
Some
By
people
what
don't
And-
know about that.
Paperwhite?
Whatever, you know who I'm talking
It's
about.
more
We
how-
don't, but it's funnier with you getting it wrong.
I wasn't 100%.
Yeah,
Some of them
no,
feel
you're
bad
absolutely
about
right.
that, though. Some of them say, "Don't make jokes. That's mean."
Some of them do say that, and it seems like they all are in shock at first, but then they are speculating, and there are some wisecracks. And anyway, so in the next scene, Stryker goes to some woman's house. I forget who it is. Maybe it was Madeline, or maybe it was Rob. I guess it was Madeline. It was some woman's house who he's seeing, and he like greets her at the door, and she's like already drunk or something, and they drink some more,
Hot.
and they have a run under the sheets.
No, is it described?
And no, it's not described, but it is described that, so before they have a go at it, he's like making the woman a drink or something. No, he comes in there and the woman asks him if he'd want a drink, and he's like, "Oh, yeah, sure." And then she yells at her rude teenage son, who's named like Harry or something, or Harold.
Henry.
Henry, to make a drink. And Henry is very rude and he's a little brat. But Stryker is learning from Henry that there was an online fandom for the Ink Black Heart, and that there are a couple of YouTubers who record their commentary on Ink Black Heart gossip. And so Henry goes and bones the kid's mom, and then afterwards, after she passes out, he slips out of the bed and goes into their kitchen and like makes himself a snack, and gets on their family computer and begins watching the YouTube channel of these guys that got Black Heart. And Henry like comes downstairs and he's like, "What the fuck?" Because there's like this grown at like his mom's boyfriend is just like
watching YouTube videos,
watching like these stupid YouTubers.
You're not me and sort of playing League of Legends
on like the family computer, whatever. And so Henry is like, Stryker, what are you what are you doing? And Henry's like, Stryker's like, oh, you got me hooked after you told me earlier. So J.K. Rowling like several pages like describing like YouTube poop style animations where she'd be like, suddenly the camera zoomed in on his face while his voice echoed and the whole screen inverted multiple times in a second so as to give a seizure-inducing experience. And it's like these two guys with like thick Cockney accents just like completely desecrating the memory of Eli or Erie, who was brutally
You'll get the letter
Edie,
eventually.
And they're just both extremely crass, and they're making bad jokes about it, and they're like laughing and high-fiving each other and like showing this, their cease and desist letter they got from a lawyer, like, you should not discuss Ink Black Heart, whatever, blah blah blah. Like showing it to the camera and like making fun of it and shit. They're just being awful. They're being awful little shits. Is the impression that we the reader are supposed to take away from it. So that happens, and Stryker is like, interesting. And
have they been hired by Maverick at this point yet?
No.
Okay.
I don't know, Riley, am I missing anything? I'm pretty sure that's all that happens.
I will say you glazed right over. It's not like an important story beat, but it stuck out to me at the end of the chapter before they start talking about Madeline and Henry and the YouTubers. They compare this to Charlie Hebdo.
Oh God!
Oh yeah, they do do that. They do do that. Because
Je suis Edie.
I forget who is even talking. Maybe it's Madeline and Stryker, but she's like, "Oh, do you think this lassie got murdered for political reasons?" And Stryker is like, "Who would ever kill someone over a fucking cartoon?" And then they immediately both think of Charlie Hebdo, and there's like a moment of silence.
Does J.K. Rowling look directly at the viewer and say, "Boy, I hate Muslims"?
It's something like that, yeah. But so what's? I'm sorry, Riley, go on.
I was going to say they're talking about this because they've actually just been asked to talk to the real police about it because they know that Edie went to them beforehand. And they notice that one of the other agents talking to them is more than a cop, but like M15 or something. And
MI5.
Yeah, MI5, whatever the fuck.
Yeah.
They're Secret Service, I guess. And they wonder why it could be so high. Is this terrorism related? And then they quietly think about Charlie Hebdo.
Right.
And that's it. And then at the end of section 2, they are reached out to start investigating officially.
Oh, yeah.
At the end of your chapter, Waylon, because at that point I had read literally everything else, and it was bad.
Yeah, it was a slog. It was a complete slog. The only other thing that I would add is the Charlie Hebdo comparison is especially striking when you remember that this is a self-insert fan fiction about J.K. Rowling's own life. So, in a sense, she is indeed comparing her own persecution online to the gunfire suffered by Charlie Hebdo.
That rules. That's awesome.
She's being, she's truly a martyr for free speech.
So would you say that from what you read in your section, Waylon, that like the Mary Sue main character is a stand-in for her, or just like a cool character she made up that she likes?
Well, so Eli is not in my chapter at all. She's dead. Like the only mention of her is that she's dead now.
Edie.
Edie.
He'll get it wrong again.
Let him do it. Let him do it.
But there was like, that attractive woman who we let die, who was so beautiful and innocent.
She was innocent, damn it.
There was kind of a vibe of that, of extreme pity for her.
It's just a terrible situation all around.
Yeah. So that was my section.
Okay.
Did the trans stuff come in? I didn't see any trans stuff in my section.
Oh,
You know,
did.
I did not.
But
Oh,
we
boy.
should save this to the end.
This is end discussion.
This is
Calvin
all
and
right.
I
This is endgame
not
shit.
yelled about this. Talked about this.
Oh, okay.
Was she killed by a trans person?
This
No.
is endgame shit. Let's not. No talking about who did it. Come on, we're in part.
Okay. I was gonna say my speculation of reading it was like, oh, the fans did it. Like one of these rude chat room people or one of these rude YouTubers killed her.
Okay.
It's entirely possible.
Part 3 opens chat
Is that-
logs
is that
again.
not Hunter?
Yay. Huh?
Is Hunter's section?
I'm
part
for.
Hunter's part 4.
Oh my god.
I know
okay.
I'm talking so much. I'm so
Okay,
sorry.
it's your section.
No.
So it opens with the moderators in the channels being like, you guys on Twitter today? You guys see the news that Edie's dead? Half of them think it's really funny, and Anomi is like, haha, I did that, and they're like, haha, no, you didn't. Then there's individual chats between Anomi and Hartella, and it's like, I know you gave them that dossier, and I'm really mad at you about it, but also I guess you were wrong because Edie's dead, and I'm obviously not. Anyway, they also, someone thinks that, and Anomi says he's already, like, yelled at the 2 other moderators who put it together for him. The moderators fight a little bit, and there's a really weird interaction between Hartella and Anomi where Anomi says to Hartella, I think you should increase my percentage of the royalties as an apology. We don't know what the fuck they're talking about for a long time, but they say that. And Hartella says that she'll have to talk to P about that, and then that's the end of that chapter. Then you get some really boring surveillance. People talking about Twitter, and yeah, they surveil 3 or 4 of the people that Edie knew who are having a meeting because all the police talk to some of them, and obviously they want to talk about their friend Edie being killed. There's so many people here. There's Nils, there's Wally, there's Tim, Seb, and Barclay. No, Barclay's one of the cops. Barclay's the cop. And Nils' very annoying child, Bram, who likes to yell the show. He likes to yell quotes from the show out loud because he is not well parented. Wally is the YouTuber that Waylon was talking about. He was formerly a voice actor in the show, but was fired.
Man, too bad this genius martyred woman's fans are so fucking stupid and dumb.
Seb was also a former voice actor who has been replaced, and Tim is also a former voice actor who has been replaced.
Who was the one who was before Tim?
Seb.
Seb?
S-E-B, I assume like Sebastian.
Interesting.
It's amazing how many characters you're listing that I
Yeah.
haven't heard of
in
my section when I already have 100 characters to try and remember.
Oh my god.
I feel the same way. All right.
Yep, and then a very small goth girl runs after them after their meeting is done and is frantically looking for the people who were just meeting. So, Strike follows her around, and she frantically calls someone and has a cryptic phone call about her being really mad that she wasn't told that whoever she's on the phone with was meeting with Nils.
Are we talking right now? Is this Robin?
No, this is a very scrawny goth girl. Very sad, has a lot of tattoos.
I know who
one
this
of them
is.
being an Ink Black Shart tattoo.
Is it Zoe?
Yes.
Do we know?
You're
Okay.
not told yet, but yes, you're right.
You're not told
Oh,
yet,
okay,
but it's
sorry,
Zoe. Yeah.
Sorry.
And she's on the phone with somebody and crying. Strike is also called by Katya Upcott to talk about what happened. There's chat logs.
Oh my god, there's so many fucking
There's
people.
chat logs.
There's so many chat logs and people.
fucking
They
hate
go
this.
to Katya Epcot's house to interview her. Katya Epcot was Josh and Edie's friend and former, like, informal PR agent, just like a friend, who's currently looking after Josh because he survived the knife attack and is now paralyzed down one side, and the other side that he's not paralyzed in, he doesn't have physical sensation in. So,
He has a very funny condition.
yeah, it's very...
Does he talk about his other condition that he has, which I wonder if they're supposed to be related or not? Where like some of his in my section, he talks about some of his organs are like his heart, instead of being on the left side, it's on the right side. Like everything is mirrored.
The knife attack is that his organs are the wrong way inside.
That is a real condition.
That's a real condition. But what about? But his paralysis is also like backwards.
Okay, that made no fucking sense.
So like, is that supposed to be related? Is this supposed to be like a theme for this
It
character?
has nothing to do with anything.
He's the most disabled guy in the world. And best friends with the beautiful, perfect author.
Because his paralyzed parts, he can feel in his paralyzed parts, but he can't move them. But he can't feel the parts that he can operate.
Can I really hope that this book ends with him, like, saving the day in his new cyborg body.
Robin has now also made a fake fan Twitter so she can see what they're tweeting about and be in the community, and is also hit on several times by shitty incel men.
Did she explain the name at all? Why she picks the name she picks?
Which name?
Her name? I don't remember.
Which name does she go by?
Her screen name is Buffy Paws.
No, that's
Oh.
later.
Oh,
That.
This is different.
sorry.
This is
I was like, what's this furry shit randomly in the middle?
But yes, that's also explained.
Is she a furry? Is that how
No,
it's
she's
explained?
not a furry.
She's pretending to be a furry, and then she's like, "Oh, I kind of like it."
Yeah, they talk to Katya. There's some drama online. There's some fun Easter eggs here if you can read the screen names in various sections and identify characters that you know later on. That's the only part that was fun. They talk to the lawyer, or not the lawyer. I guess it is the lawyer. His name is Yeoman, Alan Yeoman, about a girl maybe
Yeoman.
who's a person of interest named Kia, who tweets some stuff online and has interactions on Twitter with Anomi, which is not quote, but like specific because it's the only time Anomi tells someone online that they're cute or like interacts with anybody in that way. I don't know why she talks about that.
Just hitting you with a brick
And Kia is
about it later.
right. So we're supposed to understand. I'm reading along your section. We're supposed to understand that Kia is Paperwhite, or like is representing themselves as Paperwhite on Twitter.
Kia thinks that they stole a lot of ideas from the show from her, including her physical appearance for the very pretty ghost girl. She used to date Josh Blay and had told him a story about some local part of town that she thinks was the inspiration for the character Hardy, who is everybody's favorite character, and she feels like they're ripping her off. That's
feels like that.
yeah.
Wow. Homestar is my favorite character too.
Right?
Is,
Yeah.
is Josh supposed to be Hardy?
Josh is
In that
he's the
case?
voice actor for Hardy.
Josh is the voice actor for Hardy?
I think.
He's also the creator, though, right?
Yeah, he's co-creator and voice.
He's co-creator with Edie. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Oh my God, there's so much shit here. Charlotte shows up. Charlotte strikes ex-lover.
Oh, right.
She sucks so much ass. She's so
She's
beautiful
so
and
bad.
so
A
hot
new name for me.
and obsessed with ruining his life.
Yeah.
She's getting divorced from her current husband.
Her Arctic Fox.
Yeah, her
husband.
Arctic Fox husband, whose name is Jago. Is it Jago? Yago?
Yago, Hago,
Diego.
Dago.
The J-Man.
Shame, man.
I'm just imagining Paul Hollywood because you said Arctic Fox.
Oh my god. Oh my god.
Yes, Paul Hollywood.
Paul Hollywood.
Paul Hollywood.
Oh man, this book makes Paul Hollywood look real bad then.
Well, Paul Hollywood sucks, so.
Dude,
Fine.
now I can picture every scene Yago Ross is in his. Oh my god.
This is also
So much better as Paul Hollywood.
I need everyone to know this is extraneous to the murder. This is just Cormoran Strike's personal life.
Right.
Getting a divorce. Yago is going to try to pull Strike into divorce court about his wife cheating because he found a naked photo she sent him on an old phone that was Strike didn't want the naked photo. Anyway, Strike doesn't want to go to court because he doesn't want to become more well known because it will make his private detective career harder. And I don't know. I don't know. I don't know what to tell you. But yeah, so she says if you don't help me find some dirt on Yago, he's gonna ruin you. And also I don't want to go to divorce court and be slammed. And he says no, fuck you. And she gets mad and leaves. And then he eventually does have to get one of his current detectives to be like, hey, I need you to go dig up some dirt on Yago Ross. And I know this is kind of a personal thing, but I need you to do this for me.
Wow.
Yeah. Okay, and then Robin thinks about that time she almost kissed Strike and goes to a bar where if you push a button in the wall, a waiter brings you champagne. It is called Bob Bob Ricard. She names all of the restaurants.
Oh my god. Yeah.
She meets her friend Ilsa, who is not drinking her champagne, and Robin is very drunk at this point and is like, why aren't you drinking it? And she says, I'm pregnant, but I lost 3 of them before, you know, so I'm not holding out any hopes. I haven't even told my husband.
Wow.
Dark.
Oh, and
It's a
when
sequel to
Charlotte-
Malignant! Hell yeah!
Yeah, she was.
It just feels like someone's like fever. Like I don't perceive a plot here.
Oh,
These are
yeah.
These are just things that
events
piss off
happening
J.K.
and
Rowling.
absurd details that don't need to be there.
Don't
It's
worry,
just
there is no plot.
This is
Yeah.
basically a really embarrassing art therapy session that JK did and decided to try and make some money off of it.
Oh, okay.
yeah.
Yeah.
And then because Charlotte's a messy bitch, on the way out the door, also, she looks at Robin and goes, oh, you know, Strike's girlfriend looks a lot like you. That's really interesting.
Ooh.
And Robin didn't know Strike had a girlfriend, and she's kind of fucked up about it for some reason. Because she's they can't explain themselves to each other.
Secretly.
Now, what would have been cool is if they revealed that Robin had a split personality that she didn't know about that was dating Strike.
both of their
Also,
personalities are
much like
birds.
Malignant.
Yes.
Yeah, they are also both birds. What is a cormorant?
I don't know, but I think it's a bird. Like a robin. Ha 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 ha.
Oh. My god. By the way, Nils is a nihilist. I just want to say it now that Nils is a German nihilist and it's the funniest thing. I loved that part. Okay, anyway.
Ja,
Is
we're
that-
nihilists. We believe in
He
nothing.
believes in nothing.
That's part 3. That's it.
We cut off
okay,
your
that's part
Johnson,
3.
Edie.
Part 3 is a lot of personal problems.
Wait, who's Nils?
He's the nihilist.
Oh yeah, he doesn't matter at the end.
German mind nihilist.
Wait, okay, but he doesn't. Okay, go ahead. His name is Nils, and he's a nihilist, and
He's
that's like
Zoe's boss. Think about it like that. Zoe's
Like,
boss.
I think he's an artist.
J.K.
Think?
Rowling explicitly calls him a nihilist.
No.
Is he
She
also
named
a
him Nils, and he talks about. Okay, we'll get there because it's my section.
Got
It's
it.
her turn.
So it's
Okay, all right, Jesus Christ. Okay, so and whatever I say is going to sound really insufficient compared to the really detailed explanations that Riley has given. I feel like a student who hasn't done the homework, even though I did carefully read through all of this, and instead of blaming myself any further, I am going to blame JK, because
Yes.
this is thoroughly the middle part of this book, and as we demonstrated earlier, there doesn't seem to be, like, a structure to the plot. It just seems to be things happen, and I guess maybe that's an appealing procedural for some people, but those people are wrong. And like one clue should lead to the next, and then that plot should have some kind of forward momentum. My entire section is people meandering and trying different shit and just talking to random people and not making significant progress. So I truly believe that many of these scenes could have happened in any order, and it would not have actually impacted the book whatsoever. And because of that, it is incredibly difficult to remember. So let me do my best, and then I'm gonna go back. I'm gonna do my best to get like the fucking like Cliff's notes, and then I'm gonna go back through to read my actual notes, where I made snide comments on various things. So first of all, my section opens up with another one of these goddamn chat logs, which are written in the most infuriating way I've ever seen anything written in my life. They are separated by columns. So at first I was an idiot because I thought, oh, I'll read this like I read a newspaper. I read down the left column, I read down the middle column, I read down the right column. But I thought like an idiot, because that's not what you're supposed to do. What you're supposed to do is you're supposed to read down the left column and then go through the next several fucking pages reading down only the left column, and then do that for each column.
What the fuck?
Okay, to be fair, I think this is the ebooks problem. Because I imagine it was originally just printed as the JPEG that starts those sections, and then they like redid the text over because they couldn't. I don't know. It's all fucked up.
So and again, that
are they happening simultaneously? That's kind of what I thought was supposed to be
That
happening.
is the point of them being all together. Yeah.
Okay, well, don't do that.
Yeah, I mean,
Hang on, I gotta.
Because we know time is so of the essence in this fucking 1,200-page treat.
Avenger, can you please post? Yeah, that's a problem.
Yeah, that's a problem. Where'd you put it?
Just post it anywhere in this chat.
Yeah, Mike, that's a problem.
For another commander combo, use.
What the fuck?
Wasim started watching a YouTube video.
Do you have a pin? I don't see it.
Earlier.
Huh?
I don't have it on hand.
Whatever, forget it. Anyways, all right. So mine opens on another fucking one of these annoying chat logs, and it's like Vile Pachora and Lord Drek like having a pissing contest with each other, and Anomi being a mysterious villain, and also I've got to say the weird, like borderline like online harassment quasi-Nazi campaign referred to as the Havening. Like, JK's really not trying to hide herself from the quartering. Come the fuck on.
I thought it was like a location. Like, I couldn't even understand what I was reading.
I don't fucking know exactly anyway, but the quartering is a YouTube channel run by a fucking Nazi.
Oh my god, it is the fucking cordoning. I didn't even. God.
Yeah, I figured that out.
What is the cordoning?
So
The quartering.
There was a quartering. I thought it was only a happening.
Yeah, JK was like.
Life analogy?
JK decided to hide to put in the quartering, but she decided to call it the Havening.
Wait, so what is the quartering?
It's like a Nazi YouTube channel about how like gays and black people are ruining your media.
Oh wait, this is like an IRL thing.
Yes, this is an IRL thing.
So the quartering is IRL. The Havening is in the book.
The full-ening.
When Edie is not I'm
Third
sorry, I
inning.
got a little bit high and now I'm using my words wrong. But when Robin and Strike were talking to the cops the first time after Edie was killed, they were like, "Did Edie ever mention in your meeting that she was worried she was being attacked for her political beliefs?" And she was like, "No, Edie didn't say anything about that." But they're like, and the happening stuff is happening. So.
Okay.
Is there been any reference to what Edie's political beliefs are? Or is that just?
There's a reference to her tweeting "Love wins," when.
Oh my. Her political beliefs are J.K. Rowling's political beliefs.
Yeah, she's shit-lib.
She's shit-lib.
Okay.
Yeah, but the book doesn't present it as shit-lib. It just presents it as,
No.
well, I'm a reasonable individual.
Left
The normal beliefs. The
I
normal
believe in love.
I've gotta say, I'm going through this shit, and I'm sorry. Literally, like a third of my section is a long section of like these chat logs, which makes it even like harder for me to remember shit. So I'm having to rely on these notes that I took. But there's one point where Hartel is like, "There's no way Lord Drex having," and they're like, please don't tell Anomi that I know this because I've broken Rule 14. Rule 14 being, I assume that they can't acknowledge each other out of character or, you know, use personal information. But Lord Drex Black, so how can he be a white supremacist? And I just left a note that said unrelated picture of Kanye West. They're basically just like it's basically like the inner politics of the people playing Drex game, disconnected from the events of the actual investigation. Which, I mean, to me, that seems like a very strange way to write this.
It was a strange way to write Star Wars: The Phantom Menace, and it's a strange way to write the Ink Black Shart.
And with them wondering like you're like, oh, you need to delete this shit from your Twitter. You've said like stuff that could be incriminating to us or could get the you know, even if we didn't do it, then the feds will come down on our game and shit like that. What are you saying,
Calvin?
Oh, I was just saying it only makes sense if you're completely obsessed with the shit in real life.
Right.
You just want to have this section in here because you genuinely stalk people online and have to know about their mod conversations.
Yeah.
Yeah, J.K. Rowling does name search, I believe.
There's also a line from Lord Drex that says, "Tell me the truth. Have you been talking to Anomi about Bitcoin?" I just like that a lot. I really like that line. But yeah, there are like people wondering if Anomi is the murderer, and Anomi is like, "Yeah, I am," and they're like, but are they though?
Fucking telling everyone that they're the murderer.
Good God, this goes on forever. This goes on for fucking ever. I'm skipping the rest of this shit because I hate it. So the next section opens up with a little epigraph, because JK loves those as much as I do. From the Collected Sayings of Muad'Dib by Princess Irulan. And there is this funny little poem from Amy Levy, from her book Philosophy, which pretty dope that she managed to score like the title Philosophy, like not even Philosophy 101 Kitty Cat XX. Anyways, but I like this little poem. And all our observations ran on art and letters, life and man. Proudly we sat, we two on high, throned in our objectivity. It's like the worst slant rhyme I've ever seen in my life. Scarce friends, not lovers, each avers, but sexless, safe philosophers. Anyways, So then Strike and Robin decides to go and interview some fuckers. I'm sorry, I'm struggling to remember so many of this. They decide to go interview. Is it? No, wait, hang on. This is when they first get the flyer from the Brotherhood of Ultima Thule, which is a white nationalist movement about like how white people actually come from the island of Thule, and that you know, gay marriage is a sin, and you know, basically we need to kick out the Jews and the blacks and all the other things, and that they speculate on the connection between these guys and the Havening and the potential murder. I did check out to see if there was the subreddit of Brotherhood of Ultima Thule was real. Like, I wanted to see if anyone had swooped in and took that. But I did not find anything. The Thule Society was a real thing, and it's insane. In Nazi Germany, the Nazi occult division was the Thule Society, and that was where the Nazis were practicing sorcery to try to win the war. They believe in humane repatriation of the Jews to their non-native and non-native ethnic groups. So I commented that perhaps they can, do that with the goblins in the next Harry Potter. It was also around this point that I noticed two things. One, this book uses a frustrating amount of passive voice. It feels like something written by a high schooler. Everything is written in the most boring way it possibly could, when it could quite easily be written in a more exciting way. And when it is written in a more colorful way, it seems like Alien. It seems like no one would ever describe this that way, or no one would ever have this kind of response. Anyways, and this is also where I am going to basically call what the ending is, and we'll see in a little bit if I'm right or not. But I think that the whole, people are, upset about the evil, dumb, progressive fans being mad at the true ally and advocate that they have among the noble shit lib. These people, these easily hoodwinked millennials and Zoomers have been manipulated into hating Edie by the true villains, which are the Nazis. Because JK needs to make the true villain the most evil thing of all. Because JK, while being a shitty person herself, she recognizes that Nazi equals bad. She just wrote Wizard Himmler in Harry Potter. Wizard Himmler bad. And having watched Jenny Nicholson's video on that trigger warning book that came out a few years ago, where it turns out that the true perpetrators of the invasion of the sensitive college campus are not the effete crying baby leftists, but is in fact hardcore right-wing terrorists who have manipulated the rhetoric of the leftists into siding with them because they're so gullible. I believe that is what the exact same paradigm is going to define where the mystery goes in this. But we'll see. Anyways, they Strike and Robin begin going through Twitter threads. So basically, I have had almost no prose in this section, and I'm a third of the way through with it. It has been infuriating chat logs followed by Twitter, because that's what I want to read. I want to read fucking Twitter. Now, it's time for me to point out some anachronisms, because these Twitter threads are supposedly from 2012. First of all, the Twitter threads feature white nationalists referring to people who disagree with them as SJWs. SJW was used in 2012, but that's around the time it was coined by leftists to refer to leftists that they didn't like. It was only around the time that Trump came around when that term became basically anyone left of center, anyone left of far right. And also, these tweets, I counted, one of them contains 174 characters, and in 2012, Twitter's limit was 120. So,
Oh my
Wow.
so these were the they just kind of go through
Twit-lung.
this, and they're trying to find out any connections between Anomi and Brotherhood of Ultima Thule and the Havening, and good fucking gravy. This is so. I'm so sorry. I truly am sorry that I am like not doing a good job remembering the tangible things that happen. But then they go to this one lady's house. Is it Katya? Yeah, they go to Katya's place, and they meet her shitty invalid family. they meet they meet her son, who is covered in hives at all times, which she refers to as urticaria. She's using the full medical term that nobody uses, but J.K. read a book. She read a thesaurus. Yeah. Oh, by the way, yeah, J.K.'s use of the thesaurus is also intolerable. And she has her own husband, who is Inigo, and he's a piece of shit who likes to yell at his kids for fun. And they basically they ask them the same questions that they're going to ask every fucking character in my section. They basically just go through a laundry list of stuff where they ask about the perpetrators, the victims, and all of it is focused on do you know who Anomi is? And pretty much every time the answer is no. I'm trying to remember if anything important happened.
Can I ask a question? This is the thing that kind of I feel happens in this book. Why do the detectives think Anomi has anything to do with it? Because obviously we know, because we have omniscience, that Anomi in the chat is just like constantly saying, "I murdered everybody." But why do they? Like, I don't really understand like what gets them on this train.
That's what when Edie came to the detective agency and spoke to Robin, she was like, "I'm worried about the threats I'm receiving online." And I didn't mention, but specifically from a user called Anomi.
Okay.
Yeah.
And Anomi is
like
the
their
game
only-
master of the video game, right?
Yeah, the person who co-created the game with Morehouse, and he's also a very vocal critic on Twitter of the show.
Right. Got it. Thank you, Riley.
You're welcome.
I know that they spend some time roasting Bram like everyone does. In fact, Katya says Bram's he's an odd boy, very big for his age. I think he might have ADHD or something. JK just like hates anyone who is different. Like, how fucking dare they? Riley, can you help me out? Does anything in this fucking conversation with Katya and Inigo matter? Or can I move on?
Wait. Well, they shit on Bram because that's who they say Josh thought it might be. Because Josh used to live at the art cooperative that Nils ran. Bram is his child.
Okay.
And that
He's adopted.
Josh had come to Katya's house often.
Okay. Another note I have here, the closure of this chapter is the cello started up again in Gus's bedroom. He was now playing a fast staccato piece that seemed to give expression to the jangled moods of the house's various occupants. I know writers who use subtext and they're all cowards. And also, so that like in between each of these interviews is like another like intermission between Strike and Robin, usually with them eating and usually describing what food they are eating, as they discuss, what the next step is going to be, and crucial steps such as Robin actually getting into the game using the username and password of an ex of a friend.
Maybe
that
a coworker, another detective.
Yeah, an ex of a coworker, to get in there and and like that's the shit that pisses me off, because this is like an actual development in the case that is like directly advancing and closing us in on the perpetrator, and it is acquired entirely through circumstance.
By accident, right?
It happens by accident.
Without fanfare. Everything.
And it had nothing to do with anything leading up to it. It's just like, oh, by the way, we got this. And there's no forward momentum. It's just when the plot needs to advance, it will. And it will wait to do that, so that you can waste more time on stupid bullshit and more fucking characters. Let's see. Oh yeah, there were these like there's this section where JK was making fun of a bunch of American tourists for having southern accents, which she does not like have any right to do because she's British. You're not allowed to talk about people talking funny when you are British. Anyways, Robin eventually does log in and get onto Drek's game. And I had to like kind of check in my brain a few times like what Drek's game looked like, because at first I was imagining something like RuneScape or Club Penguin or like Adventure Quest or some bullshit. But then she talked about like Anomi's like cloaked figure getting close to the camera. So I'm like, is this like a first person VR thing? Is this like Active Worlds? Is this like Doom? And everything there is like cartoon horror themed with like cemeteries and ghosts and bats and stuff. And all of these people instantly come online to start talking to her, assuming that she is the person who previously held the account, who hasn't been on in like years. And it almost seems like they basically start quizzing her on things about herself, which is really funny. It's like to give Robin like a challenge narratively to like see if she's like quick enough on her feet to like respond and see, maintain her cover. But it's so weird that Vile Pachora and Anomi and like everyone starts coming up to her and asking her questions about herself. Unless we find out later that they were like tipped off that this was happening. But in that case, they wouldn't have needed to have asked those questions because they would have already known that she was fake. And oh yeah, I like when she had to reach for her phone and like typed a hasty text to Midge. Tell me literally anything about Beth. I'm inside the game. Some of these people know her. And I'm like, you're a detective? You didn't go in. You went in impersonating a specific person. And you're like, I don't know anything about this person. You're the worst detective in the world. Then there's like some straight up like confessions and like incriminating evidence for the people who are like sending her chats, but it's like Robin tried to take a screenshot of these conversations, but the game wouldn't let her. And I love that. I love that like this smoking gun is just like stripped away from the character because the video game doesn't let you screenshot. It's like
it's fucking with her phone.
Yeah, and it literally just said she had her phone, and I'm like,
your mobile.
Oh my
your mobile.
It was driving
and take
me
a photograph.
Can I make a
insane?
J.K. Rowling thought she was dealing with some of this online stuff, which she was like, look, I mean, it's something that you often see in media, right? Modern media, where you have problems that can be easily solved by a cell phone, right? It cuts out the kinds of dramatic plot tension that you can introduce into a story. And I think what she was thinking is, let's try to like work within that space and actually make dramatic tension with the technology that we know we have. but she's a fucking bungler. And she doesn't remember the fucking technology and how it works because she's also a fucking boomer. She doesn't know how the fuck anything in her own universe works. So she can't actually like pull off this dramatic tension through technology that we actually have available. So instead, nothing makes any fucking sense. The whole book is like this. Every single fucking character forgets they have technology when it is convenient. For the plot to be more confusing, so that the mystery, as quote unquote is a mystery, continues to happen. It's fucking everywhere in this piece of shit.
I mean,
Sorry,
she
dude.
also doesn't know how to write a fucking detective at all either, which is really
Right.
fucking annoying. I mean, even okay, and I also was thinking, I was like, well, I guess she could have been playing the game on her phone because they mentioned that they're playing it on like iPads and shit sometimes. So I'm like, is it a fucking app? Like what?
Screenshot.
Yeah,
And
screenshot. But like, but also a detective would have today. They would have like a screenshotting. Like, they would use.
They would have
The
a second.
what?
They'd have like a screen reader.
Yeah, like
Yeah,
they
but
have
also-
something to
but
monitor their
also in
screen
the
to be like,
same-
no, I can screenshot fucking anything.
But also on the same page, it literally did say she pulled out her phone. Like,
oh my
so,
god.
Yeah, JK's that bad.
I don't know how.
Oh my god.
Maybe it's also like characters don't meet in person all that often, so I feel like for some reason I believe it maybe. Oh, this is part of a series.
Yeah.
Karma on Strike is a okay.
It is the sixth book.
Got it.
This
Anyway,
is how far the
These are her.
characters-
These are her other books that she writes. Giving me bad PR for my last name under her pseudonym, and
Robert Galbraith.
yeah, making everyone think that my name is also fake.
progressively love each one.
And these are also, one of her previous books was like the murderer was like a trans person who like wanted people to take them seriously. So that's JK. Anyways, the next thing is Strike meets with Ormond. I don't really know why he meets with Ormond. There's so many fucking characters. Ormond, I believe, was Edie's boyfriend. Her new boyfriend. He was was a former cop, which and the reason why Strike was able to figure out that he was a former cop is he used something that Strike recognized as undisputed police slang that only police would know, in that he said the word sus.
That's the NGL.
And that's so fucking funny. But he's like, oh, but my bitch ex-wife pressured me to leave the force, and then Strike would later investigate and find out, no, he was let go from the force because he was like abusive and shit, and his wife, left him before then. But anyways, they kind of talk about these suspicious people around, and how Kia, how all of her accusations against Edie, and how, a lot of the nasty shit might have spread from her, but how she kind of has an alibi and couldn't have actually been the one doing it. And he also says that Blay is kind of like a loser, and yeah, he's very much like, oh, Edie did all the work and everyone else just leached off of her. Everyone else sucks. She is so good. They talk about various people that were aggrieved during all of this. Let's see, what's next? I'm trying to fucking remember. I like this part, where Robin says, there's a moderator in here called Worm28 who was online friends with Beth. It's either a gay man or a girl because they're in a relationship with an unnamed man. So I'm like, okay, JK can't be non-binary, of course. That is actually a thing. Like, JK always has to clarify like what race and sex someone is and their sexuality if she can.
Every time. Every time.
Every time. Every fucking time.
We have to conduct with the Ministry of who asked for every single time she does this.
I was trying to go into this door, so I asked the black man who was going in if he would let me in. The man let me in.
Yes, in the hallway.
Literally in my
She
not kidding.
Yeah, okay.
That was exactly what
a page later. A page later, she didn't open a private channel. She just offered to help out in the open game. I don't actually know that she's female, obviously. I'm just assuming so because of the username.
Great.
I can't prove that this is a woman, so I'm kind of mad about
gay
that.
or a woman would call themselves Worm. Gays.
Anyways, Ormond was like the most sus person.
Oh wait, I'm sorry. Also, whoever's dating this man must be a man or a woman.
Yeah. Yeah.
What a deduction!
The greatest detectives.
Greatest detectives of all time.
Then Anomi basically comes on, and everyone comes on the game, and then like Strike is like gathering around Robin's fucking laptop to be like to witness them, and they like show up like a cult leader, and like all the people on the server literally just start crowding around them, and they're like talking about like, yeah, I killed her, and then everyone's like LMAO, and then one user literally says, "You are our god." Let's see. There's more bullshit with Strike bitching about Charlotte and talking about like, you know, Madeline does kind of look like Robin, and then like wanting to like smoke a cigarette and then complaining that his stump hurts.
Queen Elizabeth is writing a book in hell right now.
There's another book. There's another
about us, about our Discord after her death.
There's another.
LOL.
There's another instance of the phenomenon I just described with with her needing to label everyone. Of the few diners, he and Robin were the only Caucasians.
Oh my god!
It's a Chinese food restaurant. It's a Chinese food restaurant also.
Yeah, that's right. I
only whites. Well, I shouldn't say whites. Caucasians.
Christ.
Yeah, and they start to get interested in like this art college where Edie and Josh learned how to draw stuff and think about sending Robin there as like a fake student to like see what she can gather. Let's see. They keep saying that like Strike also has this thing where he keeps pointing out how things are code. Like he's like B and H are letters that symbolize Nazism. It stands for blood and honor. And then, you know, and they like keeps pointing out that like different numbers are hate symbols, and he goes, 14 is a hate symbol. He goes, it refers to the 14 words. A far right slogan. And I'm like, JK, how do you know all this? How do you know all of these, JK?
Why does Cormoran know all of these? JK?
Why does Cormoran know all of these? So these two blokes, are they blokes? Again, yeah. I'm sorry if this is boring, but it's just me. The book itself is just spinning its wheels. More evidence of me being right about the villains actually being like far-right fascists who disguise themselves as communists in order for the narrative to discredit communists as like the dumb dupes of tyrants. Anomi idolizes the movie The Dark Knight Rises, and I'm like, okay, he's Bane. He's Bane from that movie, where he riles up all of the poor people to rise up so that he can kill the cops and blow up the city for fun.
I brought about her death.
Yeah.
Metaphorically.
There was one there was actually one semi-clever thing that I liked in this, where they were able to kind of profile Anomi a little bit from a tweet that said, and as cash registers ring out across the land, you've got to wonder how @SebMonty91 feels about being the Pete Best of the Ink Black Heart. And they're like, if they're gonna be like referencing the Beatles like that, this has got to be like someone old. Like, there's plenty of other like, you know, shills and sellouts that you would reference if you were younger that you would pick before Pete Best. So this wouldn't be someone like super young. And I'm like, actually, that's
what
like a
British person would know anything about the Beatles?
Not that they wouldn't know it, but that it was the first thing that they went to. I mean, I wouldn't have said Pete Best.
I guess, but you're like, just in Britain, like, how does that indicate fucking anybody? Like, that's the only not embarrassing thing.
Anyways, it seems like way too obvious. It seems way too obvious for me that Ormond is the killer, just because like it feels too obvious, but it really does feel like they're beating me over the head with it here. But the characters also aren't noticing it, because they literally say that Anomi talks about driving people to the hospital sometimes, and Ormond also talks about driving this old fuck to the hospital. And I'm like, and they do not comment on this. They do not comment on this similarity, which I think is, you know, is maybe them trying to hide the twist early, if that is truly the twist. But I feel like whether or not it's a red herring, I feel like the detectives should comment on it. Anyways, then Robin puts on a wig like she's Sydney Bristow from Alias, and completely changes her persona to go to an art school, and where they have to do some nude painting, and and the goth girl is there, and they are also like, fuck, what even happens here?
Is there a character named Pez there?
There is a character named Pez there, but also, they when they were doing the nude, when they're doing the nude drawing, they like can't stop talking about how large the man's penis is and how like cock hungry the women in the room are.
Oh, I know he's got a big cock. Don't you worry.
Abundantly clear.
When I think Pez, I think big cock.
I give up. I fucking give up. There's nothing fucking. Oh yeah, wait. They use that. Wait. One more thing. They use the term stan. They use the term stan in the way that we modern day use it, which again was not a thing in 2015.
We stan Pez's big cock.
We stan.
I'm rambling. None of this fucking matters. Riley, if any of this matters, then just fucking fill us in here.
I agree, that could have happened in any order.
Hey, sorry, Jay. I was getting croissant in the kitchen.
I can't pretend to think that there's any sort of structure to this, or anything that leads from A to B to C anymore. It is just empty data.
Okay, so where she's going, the art co-op, is where Josh Blay used to live. Edie also used to live there a long, long time ago when they were still dating, and in like the heyday of making the Ink Black Heart. And it's become kind of like a, like, oh, I can't think of the word, but like fans like to go there and gawk at it, you know?
Yeah, it's like a tourist spot, basically, for fans.
It's like part of a weird pilgrimage they make to go see.
Yeah, their mecca.
Where she came up with it, where she was at the school. It's all very weird.
Not
Is
good.
this like isn't there like a cafe that J.K. Rowling wrote Harry Potter in that like people go to?
Probably.
Wow, deep cut.
I
I
think
totally
so.
believe people do stock it.
I don't know about that one. I know there's one for Tolkien, and I did go to that one, so I guess I'm guilty. But Tolkien also has way more street cred than J.K.
True.
What part are we on right now?
We're finishing up 4 because
Four.
I cannot pretend to
We need
be.
to fucking pick it up. Let's
I'm
just get
sorry.
to 5 and 6.
Alright, part 5.
Move on to 5. Yeah, thank you.
In part 5, when she goes to the art school, the annoying little shitty kid there is there. By little, I mean he's 12, but they keep saying he's like 6 feet tall. I don't fucking know.
He's 12, but he acts 5, but he acts 40.
Yes.
Yeah.
He's there and he sings a racist song in Swedish.
Oh my god.
There's some racism. They do some art. There's some happy people there. There is mentioned that there is a single black girl in the art class. And Robin's attending this undercover. Yes, yes. They're at the end of part 4. She sees a stained glass window in the art co-op that has a quote, including the word "Anomi" in it.
Yes, that was the last thing that happened for me.
And that's like this is a stupid coincidence. Maybe he's here.
Yeah.
Pet really, really flirts with her. Really, really flirts with her. But she instead follows Zoe home. Zoe being the weird goth girl that was crying that Strike saw after he was surveilling some people. She works there. She's a nanny, and she follows her home instead, friendly. It's like, oh, I live this way too, haha. They're both from Yorkshire. They bond over being from Yorkshire, and she gets really for some reason, this girl Zoe gets really disarmed and tells her that she's struggled with her whole life and that she was gonna kill herself once. And then she saw the Ink Black Heart and decided that it was funny enough for her to see it again next week. So the show saved her life. It was the first thing that made her laugh or something in a year, so she became obsessed with it. And Robin comes to the conclusion that this is one of the moderators. This is Worm 28. And she's correct because of course she is.
It is either a man or a woman. So
Can I also say that despite the internet being an international thing, it seems like everyone relevant to this case is within a couple blocks of each other.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
Netflix picks up local sensation Ink Black Heart.
This is what I mean by she tries to make it sit in this weird technological space, but cannot do it because it makes no sense.
It makes absolutely no sense.
Yeah.
Go ahead, Ryan.
I was gonna say, should we try to, given that we still have
Too many parts.
what is it? Sam, Davis, Calvin, and then Wasim. Should we try to pick this up tomorrow?
No, I think we should just keep going.
I cannot tomorrow.
We need to keep going.
I do probably have to be done in an hour.
We can do it in an hour.
Okay.
We can absolutely.
We can absolutely do it in an hour.
We really don't need to know how good the book actually is. We can just hit points, It's fine.
Yeah, let's go.
It's not the end of the world.
All right, let's go.
Alright, I'm sorry. I'm trying to.
No, it's okay.
But it's hard to hit on what's important because nothing's important.
Yeah.
That's true.
Right.
Nothing is important.
I think it's in this part where they're going to interview Tim, but they don't want to freak him out coming at him like a private detective, so they get their guy to whip up a fake account for a journalist who writes about drama in schools, because that's what Tim does. Is he has this really embarrassing traveling thing that you can pay to come to your school and talk to kids about acting. So she wants to interview him for that under the guise of everything happening. There's some stuff about Wally being a Nazi. Wally being fired for being a Nazi from the show. Stop it! There's this relationship between Paperwhite and Morehouse, and they've been very friendly, and Paperwhite has been exchanging nudes with Morehouse at some point. and accidentally sent one to Anomi. And Anomi has shown it to everyone, which is great. Good to include. Oh my god, what is... Okay. Cormoran's leg hurts a lot. Like a lot.
It hurts so much.
He goes to interview Kia, and she literally runs away. She runs away, and it says she screams and runs out the back door. What the fuck?
I'm imagining like a Petey Wheatstraw character screaming and running away, flailing their arms.
This house has a lot of birds in it. A parrot scratches his head, and Kia's mom gets her to meet the detective at a bar after calling her.
I'm like imagining some cartoon shit, like all of these birds are just foiling him and everything he tries to do.
Specifically, they're like, that bird hates men, watch out. And in fact, it did.
In fact, it did.
So Cormoran goes to talk to Kia at the bar.
But would it hate trans men?
There's this weird like vibe around the descriptions of Kia that they're either painting her as someone who is legitimately chronically ill and might just use it to manipulate people, or someone who's like self-diagnosing as chronically ill and kind of doing it. I can't tell what they're trying to go for with her, but it kind of paints her in this weird, pathetic, and manipulative light. Yeah. There we go. That's the end of the chapter.
That's
Great.
it? Okay, great.
Is it my part?
There's literally nothing else important happens here? Like,
I mean, if it did, I went past it too fast.
there's 122 pages. Okay, next.
Yeah.
Damn.
Yeah. Goddamn.
Fucking
Is it my turn?
Yeah.
Riley, I need help. I need help. I need your help because it starts with a fucking chat log and I don't know what is happening in it. The moderators are arguing. And Nomi is mad at them for some reason.
I forgot. There's Alexis's part, which I haven't pre-read before this.
Really? Oh, well, fuck it. Who cares?
Skip it.
Okay, we get the
Skip it.
pedo shit in here.
I'm sure it'll make sense. All right. Mine opens with a fucking chat log, and they're just kind of I don't fucking know. I don't fucking know what it was about. I do not know what it was about. I can't tell you a thing about it. I read it, I promise, and I can't tell you.
Are we on part 6?
Part 7.
Yeah, sorry, we kind of skipped 6.
There's I don't mean I have a mouse shut. Yeah, they're like I don't know. They just like don't trust each other or something. I don't know. I really don't know. After that, Strike and Robin go and they're gonna go visit Josh, I guess, at the hospital.
Yeah.
Because he's half paralyzed in a funny way. And on the way they see like a bunch of the women characters in the street losing their minds for some reason.
Epcot from the beginning with her daughter Flavia, and
yes, I was overwhelmed with names suddenly. It was just like, oh, it was Katia and Sarah, and I've never seen Sarah's name except once, and it was right there.
Yeah, she does.
Katia and Sarah and Kia are all there, and Kia is like crying, trying to get a note to Josh. It's also revealed that Vilerpeck or whatever the fuck is like an anagram or whatever it is called. Yeah, for Oliver Peach.
Yeah.
So one of the users just used their fucking name. So I'm like, is Lord Drek Bram because he's named Bram Stoker? Like, and Drek sounds like Dracula. Like that's the kind of bullshit that's in this book where Nils is a nihilist and like Hardy is Harry. Like. You know,
this is why all of her like racialized characters are named like Cho Chang and shit.
Yeah, it's the same kind of thing.
Kingsley Shacklebolt for the black
Kingsley
man.
Shacklebolt. Don't forget Kingsley the black man. Kingsley Shacklebolt, the black man. Yeah. So anyway, Kia's losing her shit because she doesn't think Josh is getting her letters or something. So they go and they interview Josh, and Josh is like. Every day I wake up and I break my legs, I break my arms, and then he names a bunch of other characters who I had never heard of. So I'm like, ranting these names at my coworker who like thinks I'm making them up, and I'm not. And she's like, because there's no way that these are all new names still 40 pages in. No, yes, they are. And he's like, I think that person did it, and I think that person did it, and I think that person did it. Bram is a fucking crazy person who lit my room on fire or something. And I'm going to imply that he choked his mother to death, but he didn't. I'm kidding. And Inigo is an Anomi, but I'm also kidding. He's not Anomi. Like he said, like he makes a joke that he's like, I was gonna say he's Anomi. Just kidding. I was gonna say that Flavia fucking hates him or something. It's like, okay. I don't know how to take that. That chapter sort of ends. I don't know. They stop talking to Josh, and they keep ruling out suspect. In the background, the plot is progressing. They are like following people around, I guess, and they're like, okay, Anomi's online, and this person's walking around in the street, so they can't be Anomi. It's not one of the Upcott kids. I was like, the Upcott kids, yes, the Upcott kids. It's not this other kid. He's in an ambulance right now. Poor sap. Like something happened to him. I don't know. Anyway, like what's his name? It was the kid that Riley called a Nazi earlier, I think.
Oh, Bram.
Bram.
Not Bram.
Another kid a Nazi?
Caldwell or no? What's his name?
Wally.
Huh? Wally.
Yeah.
Wally. I think.
He's an adult man, but yeah.
Yeah, whatever. But yeah, so they're like, oh, well, I guess it's not Wally. And then anyway, they talk to Josh, whatever. What happens after that?
Katya ripped Edie, or not Edie. Actually, this isn't important. Who gives a fuck? Never mind.
Yeah, I don't remember that at all, and I read it today. I read all of this today. I read this during work today. The next thing that I remember happening is let's see, they're like waiting online to talk to Anomi. Anomi is like, I'm gonna give you a fucking test where you have 15 seconds to answer each question, and it ends with me asking if you know who I am.
It's the
and you have to pass the test to become a mod, because you're going to become the new mod, because Drek is like not a mod anymore or something.
Okay.
Busty Paws. You can be the new mod. Busty Paws.
After having been gone for
My furry friend.
years, from my understanding.
After being what?
Having been gone from the game for several years.
Yes.
Busty Paws. I'm suspicious of you, Busty Paws, but you're going to be the mod. But you have to pass a test about all 47 episodes. And she's like, shit, I don't know anything about this show, because I couldn't be asked to fucking watch 47 episodes that are on fucking YouTube for free about the case that I'm working on. Who gives a shit, right? So anyway, then I don't know, she goes to the fucking art house in disguise.
She goes
I think.
on a tour of the cemetery.
She goes on a tour of the cemetery. Okay, she goes on a tour of the cemetery, which is a real place. It's a real cemetery, but there's also like props. It came off as like a tourist attraction too.
I want to say we did more
baffling.
We did more detective work with this fucking book
than
the
absolutely.
detectives did in the book.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. And that JK did on like what detectives do, how technology works, etc.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Full immersion.
So the graveyard is like a fucking amusement park. It almost seems. There's like fucking.
Really old and famous people are buried there.
Famous people are buried there, but also this fucking cartoon was, and there's way more people to see the fucking cartoon shit.
Yeah, there's like a group.
This is the most famous person buried there is Karl Marx.
Yeah, Karl Marx is buried there.
Karl Marx is buried.
Yeah. That was a big thing.
Lots of people are buried there.
And everyone just wants to like find a way to get to where Edie was murdered, because I guess she was murdered in this graveyard.
She was, which was also where they came up with the cartoon, the exact same fucking spot.
Yeah, very poetic.
Wow.
And oh, and I guess the person who killed Edie whispered in Josh's ear that he was gonna finish it.
He said, "I'll take care of everything, don't you worry."
Yeah, I'll take care of everything. Don't you worry. He whispered to Josh.
Yeah.
And
Josh was on his way to meet Edie, and they were stabbed. Yeah.
Yes. And
just casually hanging in the cemetery.
And then she runs into Pez there, which I was like, there's a fucking character named fucking Pez.
Preston, and Pez is a British nickname.
I hate the British.
Jezza. It's like Jezza.
He's there for some reason. He's like just there. I don't know why he was there.
He was there with a sketch pad drawing the cemetery because he's uwu handsome art boy.
But didn't he work on the show?
Yeah, he's also.
Why the fuck is he there to draw the fucking cemetery?
I don't know, because he's an artist.
It's like in memoriam or something, right? Like that's like what it must be.
He doesn't like Edie, I don't think. Because okay. Anyway, fucking. They do that. She's like, oh, Pez is gonna want me to suck his dick later. I'm not gonna do that.
Cover as this person.
Even though it's huge.
And he's for her.
She like keeps thinking about his penis. Also,
penis?
She's like, I don't want to accidentally say that something is big because he's gonna think that I'm talking about his penis.
Oh my god!
Like she, yeah. She like he says something about like being a child, and she's like, "Oh, you're bigger than that." And then she was like, "Oh, but I refrained from saying that because I didn't want him to take it the other way." Because she has seen his massive dong.
Right.
Because Pez is a cool art chad.
Right?
Huh?
This is the nihilism chapter.
Yes, then they go to the art house. She visits Nils the nihilist, who has like a painting with like eyeballs that are cogs and like the hair is made of tire rubber, I guess. And he's like, "Oh yeah, that's my dad. Literally, his ashes are embedded in that. I made it." And then okay, so there was something earlier about like Greek. Oh, because she interviewed Grant. She interviewed Grant, who is somebody else. Surely.
I don't remember who Grant is.
Well, for some reason, my brain is saying Alan Grant, but that's a character from Jurassic Park, so it's not Alan Grant. But it's some other rich guy who has something to do with fucking the show or the movie. And I think he's one of the people who knows that, oh, very important thing, Hardy is going to be, instead of a heart, is going to be a human in the movie. And that's just going to piss people off. And apparently Anomi knows that fact because Anomi like tweeted it, like leaked it, basically. Anomi is just outing themselves. It's like, I have this information. Because like nobody has this information.
Sonic's arms aren't going to be blue in the movie.
Yeah, like nobody has this information, right? It's like when there was really recently there was something leaked about a movie and like or a game, and like obviously someone got fired over it, and it was anyway. It's just like Anomi's just outing themselves. Like, hey, if you can figure out that I know this, so they make like a list of the suspects who would know that fact, and then they list who they know after that. So they're like looking for like multiple degrees of separation because they just don't fucking know who it is. She talks to Grant. Grant is mad. I don't know. He's mad. And huh?
Is it Hugh Jack?
No, Hugh Jack's. She gets a call. No, Stryker gets a call from Hugh Jacks. From Huge Axe. Hugh Jacks.
Hugh Jacks. Hugh Jacks it.
Hugh Jacks. And he gets a call. And he's like, "Oh, can you tell her to call me back?" And she's like, "Oh yeah, I'll call him back later. Whatever. I don't give a fuck. That guy's a fuckboy." And then keeps talking to Grant, whatever. Grant tells her about like the funeral or something, and he's like really suspicious of Ormond, and he's baffled by this big German dude who is Nils, who gave him this disgusting piece of art, and he doesn't understand and he hates it, and he's mad, and someone got in a fight there too.
Grant is Edie's uncle. That's who he is.
Yeah, that guy. So anyway, that ends. They make the list of the suspects that I was talking about, and then she goes to the art house. Finally, we can get to the interesting fucking part. So there's the nihilist. He's got his weird bust made of his dad's ashes. Oh, there was this Greek text. He's like obsessed with Greek text shit. And like he has a fucking sword in his room. And like he talks about Anomi and about suicide and death being like a beautiful thing release. but he didn't do it because he's just like some stoner nihilist. She like hates this guy because he's just like bored, and Robin is worried that he like brought her into his room for like sexual reasons or something, she says, and she's like, but no, he's like too sleepy. and he like lights up a joint that he has already smoked because J.K. Rowling has never smoked weed, and and he's talking about death being beautiful and Anomi and whatever, and then she leaves. She goes talks to Bram in the same house. She's still in the house. This is while she's about to go on a date with Pez. Pez is like upstairs right now. So she talks to Nils downstairs. She talks to Bram. Bram takes her up to Josh and Edie's old room where he shows her this like photorealistic art of a penis going into a vagina that Pez made. And Bram doesn't say this, but as a joke, Pez says, who knows? I don't know what that's supposed to mean, but it's there. I guess it's the freewheeling artist kind of guy that Pez is. And Bram does all this weird. He shows her like this rotting, decaying, dead rat that he picks up and shoves in her face because Bram is fucking crazy. And then Bram says that Wally is Anomi. I believe he like just says that Wally is Anomi or Zoe is Anomi or something. No, he says that Zoe killed. No, he doesn't say that Zoe killed.
He said
Edie, but
he said Zoe did it.
Oh, he does say Zoe did it? Well, I glazed over that part. But there's so much fucking dialogue and there's no description.
You know Zoe?
I don't know who Zoe is.
Zoe is the scrawny little guy.
Oh yeah, she's the scrawny girl, that's right. Who they think that the ghost is based on her.
But how does he know?
That's a different girl?
Yeah, that's Kay. Keep up, bitch.
Everyone, how does this character know Zoe?
Bram is a child who lives in the house that
Bram's a
Zoe
child.
works in as a nanny.
Zoe works there as a nanny.
Every once in a while, yes.
Okay.
And Pez lives with Bram.
It's an art co-op. It's like a co-op.
It's an art co-op.
Art classes, and that also has a pottery shop.
And people live there.
And people live there.
People live there too.
One of those people who
it's a very confusing location.
J.K. Rowling has never entered an art collective, and she just doesn't understand any of it.
And Josh and Edie used to live there, and a lot of the heyday of the Ink Black Heart happens there.
I like pieced together that this was like JK's poor attempt at describing a co-op, but that's just because I've actually been in a co-op before, and I'm not sure JK has.
JK isn't like that old, but she's writing like a grandma.
Yeah, she writes like a fucking grandma. Well, she's kind of old. She's like in her 60s at least, I think. But anyway, fucking shit. So then yeah, she goes on a date with Pez. She tells Pez that fucking Bram Stoker said that Zoe did it, and he's like, he just fucking hates Zoe. He's a crazy little kid, and she's like, yeah, probably. And then Pez has like a tattoo of Strawberry Fields Forever around his neck, and he's getting really drunk, and he keeps kissing Robin, who kind of likes it, kind of hates it, both.
Robin, you're on the job. What are you doing?
Undercover, she turned her tape recorder on when they started their date.
But she edits out the parts where they're kissing when she gives it to Stryker, and then Stryker listens to it later, and he's really disappointed that those parts are edited out, and he's like upset that he's like, I'm not happy that they made out, but I guess I should be happy that she's willing to do anything for her job.
Is J.K. Rowling's point? I'm reading this section right now. Is J.K. Rowling's point with this that, I mean, he's assaulting her. He's like, she keeps saying, "Please stop," and he is assaulting her. And the whole point is like, well, you know, it's complicated, and women can like it too, and all. And she's not a woke scold, so she's not gonna cancel Pez.
But then she does kind of like it.
Robin has been sexually assaulted.
Robin has been sexually assaulted?
I was reading this. I was reading this in the other books because there's fucking 5 of them before this one.
Fuck.
Was raped and left for dead, according to Wikipedia.
Yeah,
What?
this gets
What?
ceremoniously brought up.
What the fuck?
Well, she describes their kissing as his. I took screenshots, by the way, of my favorite parts. His teeth clashing with hers. So I don't know if J.K. Rowling has kissed anyone before. As he pressed her face to his, Robin wished he'd stopped touching her wig and couldn't help suspecting that she was being used, like the logger, to distract Pez from his worries. Anyway, yeah, that's pretty much my I want to find the funny parts though. Hang on. Let's see. Stryker playing the game. He had just avoided being attacked by a digital vampire, which is apparently a thing in the game.
Yeah.
Is there gameplay or not, or is it just a chat room? I don't understand.
It's a chat room with vampires, at least.
Oh no, I think there's an actual like digital vampire in the
It's
story.
VR chat with also vampires, I guess. Which also is why I'm like, oh, Bram, Dracula, he's Lord Drek user or something, probably. I don't know.
Bram Stoker.
Attacked by, yeah, and then so he just avoided being attacked by digital, then successfully steered Buffy Paws past a stone lion with the help of Robin's cheat sheet, parentheses, type, quote, "You is bad stony muckfluck, comma, bois." When a text arrived from his half-sister Prudence. He still hadn't met her. Hi, Sylvie's doing great. Who the fuck are Prudence and Sylvie? Who the fuck are these characters?
They literally do not matter.
We don't know. That is the end of it. He doesn't even... It never comes up again. Beast Boy destroys the lab, and then they move on. Sorry, we were watching Titans last night. This is very Titans-y sometimes. Okay, hang on. I have other funny ones. Oh, yes. Robin laughed again, and then Pez says, "Anyway, do you know what lolicon is?"
Oh!
No. What is it? It's cartoons of little girls, drawings of them doing stuff. You know, sexy stuff. It's a Japanese thing. Or that's where it started. It's all over the net now. Oh, said Robin, her mind now racing. I mean, gross. Like, as though she didn't immediately think it was gross, and then was like, "Oh, I mean, gross."
What the fuck is that supposed to be?
So who had been looking at it? Someone, Tim. Oh, Tim. Yes, Tim. I missed that Tim. I don't know if it says Tim Ashcroft, but she goes to someone's apartment. The scrawny girl. She looks 12 in the shadows. Riley. What's her name? Zoe. Yeah, she goes to Zoe's apartment in another wig, in a blonde wig instead. Different wig. Different wig. This is no longer Jessica Robbins, which is the worst alias I've ever heard. Instead, for Robin, Jessica Robbins? Are you kidding me? She goes to Zoe's apartment. She waits outside, so she sees a young black man opening the door. So she says, "Can I go in?" The young black man nods and lets her in. Doesn't say or no, he does say a thing, actually, I think. I didn't read that directly. I'm just trying to remember. Doesn't say a thing, just lets her in. That way she doesn't have to write dialogue for the black character thing. She doesn't know how to write those. The bloke spoke. Oh, right, the white bloke. Yeah, so she gets in that way, and then, like, I guess waits in the stairwell. She hears Tim Ashcroft and Zoe arguing. They're really fucking mad at each other. Tim storms out. Zoe runs out barefoot. Zoe has been feigning being sick and hasn't been online, I guess, this whole time. My section ends there.
Woo! Thank you.
It was like mostly dialogue. This book reads like a bad screenplay, which J.K. Rowling also makes. So yeah.
This would be a lot. Okay, continue. Next, Davis.
Next.
All right, I'm gonna keep mine fast, mostly because I don't remember a lot of shit. Most specifically, I don't remember a lot of the characters other than
Good.
Robin and Strike, who are I don't know. A lot happens between them in this section. So it starts off. Strike wakes up and his leg is like twitching uncontrollably, and J.K. Rowling like spends a few pages talking about like what a big piece of shit he is. He smokes too much. He eats a bunch of greasy food, and this all makes his leg spasm out and makes him miserable. He starts reviewing some files. Some stuff happens. Robin comes back to the agency, has a package, and there's an explosion. Someone has mail bombed them. So they're like, she manages to like throw it into the other room, and they're like fine, basically. Then they go to a coffee shop. They like get blowed up.
An assassination attempt will not stop us from our dining intermissions.
They are interviewed by police there. They don't.
Yeah. The police go there, and the police are like, "Will you come to the station?" And they're like, "No." Like, no, we can go to a bar next door where we're regulars and do the interview there. So police are like, "Okay, lay low." Strike doesn't want to go home because he thinks he's gonna get blowed up there. So he goes to spend the night at Robin's house, and while he's at Robin's house, his girlfriend is like, "Hey, where are you?" And he's like, "Oh, I'm at a motel." He just straight up lies. He's like, I'm not gonna tell her that I'm at Robin's house,
or that I'm up or anything.
So while they're there, Robin hands him like a bunch of printed out tweets or something while she's making dinner, and the tweets basically point to this one user being a pedophile or something. I don't really remember. There's also like, I don't know, they're like using the game throughout these parts. After the first like attempt at trying to read the chat logs, I just stopped reading them. I didn't.
They're terrible.
Yeah, I couldn't.
They're incomprehensible.
Read the logs.
But yeah, so they're like, oh, this guy, with the username Ink Black Shart, I think, according to maybe my notes, is a pedophile through tweet analysis and
Pen of Justice.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, is it Pen of Justice?
Penis Justice.
Yes, penis.
Penis Justice.
Penis Justice.
Yeah.
He's the funny
Penis.
pedo.
Is that like the orange justice for your pelvis?
Meanwhile, the cops think that the people who did the blowing up are the Nazis, members of the Halvening. And the next day, they decide to go follow this guy Gus, or they're trying to like talk to Gus and Inigo. But then when they get there, they realize they're getting in a car, and so they follow them all the way to I just have it written here, Upcott's Beach House. I don't know who that is or why. They go in, Inigo's like pissed that they're there and that they followed him. He's like being a dick. He's like kind of a creep. They interview him for a while. It kind of comes out that that they think he might be a pedophile because of his interactions with Kea online, or Key, or however you say it. And I guess they also think that Key is what? Who is the fucking person? Anomi. They think that's Enemy. Indigo's like, no, it's Yasmin Weatherhead, because Yasmin Weatherhead said at one time while she was drunkenly making out with somebody at a party I was at. Yeah. Meanwhile, the Strike's girlfriend finds out that he was actually staying with Robin somehow, or intuits it, because while they were on the phone at Robin's house, Robin like walked into the room and said something, and she was like, "Who the fuck is that?" And he was like, it's the cleaners." And she's like, "That's not. You're not at a."
You could have literally just said you were on a business trip, motherfucker. She knows you work with her.
Yeah, what the fuck?
And that was also the same night that they had been blown up. So the girlfriend's like, "You got blown up and then went to cheat on me." Anyways, they check into like a bread and breakfast. Strike calls his girlfriend and breaks up with her. And then they like eat some like weird spaghetti pesto while talking about the case. I'm sure there's a lot in there that I didn't.
They needed more meal scenes.
I mostly read this while I was like falling asleep at night. I did write down weird mention of gender because, like, you know, I also noticed that every time a character was mentioned, their like gender and appearance and ethnicity were noted. There's also a moment where somebody is scrolling through the internet, and the sentence is, scanning the list of websites, he mentally discounted the BuzzFeed quiz on being cis, the shopping sites, the Googling of his name. So I just like thought it was very funny that there's often like these random throwaway references to just like trans people or
cishet
whatever.
privilege.
Cishet,
Like,
yeah, it's
gender
all over
identity
the
at
place.
all.
There was
Yeah.
something about that in mine too, but I don't even remember what it was referring to.
But it's not like consequential. It's just like
Right. It has
in
like
the world.
no bearing in the story.
Yeah.
She just
So,
like suddenly had it in her system and had to get it out on the page. There we go.
Exactly.
Keep
yeah,
writing.
So that's my section. I don't know who's next.
Is that 8?
Yeah.
Oh, buddy, it's mine.
boy.
Yours ends on a Twitter conversation, I guess. Yeah, I think so. I don't know. Mine begins in a Twitter thread, so I imagine yours has to end with one.
It does.
But it's basically this is the best way to start. This is where I started reading the book, and it starts with everyone calling Edie that she sucked cocks while she was poor on Twitter. Because apparently all the fans know about that. So I guess this is like a real life thing that JK has had to deal with, that when she was poor, everyone said she sucked dick on Twitter or something. I don't know. It's very
JK was the
weird.
throat goat.
What people keep calling, like, the so-called lefties in these Twitter threads, I've been reading along, keep calling her like racist. Like, why are they calling her racist?
Bro, I have no idea. I have no idea.
No
Because-
reason. Which is the
Maybe it's
same
Harry
reason
Potter,
that
probably.
people hate JK.
Maybe she's going for like anyone will call anybody anything for any reason or some shit. I don't know.
You'll always have haters.
Yeah, and they're all British too. They're not only on Twitter, but they're also all British.
They're all British.
So she went down for pound sign. We heard is what it says, instead of like dollar signs, which I think British people would still use to indicate money, but maybe I'm just wrong.
I think pound works better because of the double entendre.
Anyway, so Strike's like looking at his fucking iPad. He's reading Twitter. Or I'm sorry, Robin is reading Twitter and Strike is eating food. 'Cause as they often are, they're just eating.
This detective, all he does is eat.
They spend so much time eating and reading Twitter. So Robin's reading Twitter and she gets DM'd by like, okay, so everyone's like saying like, she sucks cocks, ah ha ha. But there's one person in the thread who's like, no, she doesn't. She definitely doesn't suck cocks. And Robin that day has made a Twitter account called Stop Anomy. And the one girl who's like, she doesn't suck cocks for real, she doesn't. She DMs Stop Anomy and she's like, what? Who are you? And you know, they basically, Robin in her deft ability sets up. Again, she's not the one to DM this girl. That girl DMs her. So again, it just kind of happens. But they set up like a conversation where, you know, Robin is like, if you know who she is, tell me. And so they're going to meet in a public park, basically. And while all this is happening, like, Strike is, you know, eating his like, you know, bangers and mash or whatever. And he's thinking about how hot Robin is and how he can't have her. And
I
Robin,
forgot to say in mine. While they're at Robin's apartment, they're like both thinking about the weird kiss moment. It's very weird. Also, Strike resolves to vape instead of smoke. Yeah, the e-fag.
Yeah, they say they.
Yeah, Nutley talked about going out for a fag.
God.
Good old Nutley.
JK was using
The
every
idiot.
opportunity she could to say it.
What do I name my stupid coworker? Nutley.
All right, yeah. So then they have a nice dinner together and laugh about how they had almost been blown up with a bomb, which was a crazy drop for me. You know, like the reader would have known that was going on, but they're just laughing and eating over Twitter, and then they talk about a bomb. So that was really weird. Then some people talk on. Oh, also the girl that Robin meets up with, she is friends with Morehouse. And they've like locked on to the fact that Morehouse is going to be important. They either need to find out who he is, or if he's Anomy, or if he knows who Anomy is.
The girl that's also friendly one, the moderator.
Huh?
The girl she meets is also Friendly One.
Oh, the girl is Friendly One. Okay, well that wasn't in my section, but yeah, that's who she is.
Fuck, I'm sorry.
It's okay. But anyway, so yeah, they talk for a while. Robin decides she's going to go. She and Strike drive up the M11 from London to Yorkshire to meet this girl. They talk about how he needs to eat better. And I guess he hits his leg a couple of times in pain or some shit. Who fucking cares? Who fucking cares about Strike's stupid dick and his jump? Yeah, so, and they talk about how, terrible Charlotte and her soon-to-be divorced husband are and how they treat their kids poorly. And Robin is like, but you don't think of the children. You just think of them as pawns. And Strike thinks about how she's very, like, motherly and womanly because she's thinking about children and their well-being. And how sexy that is.
Yeah!
She writes Strike to be like, you are so cool, JK.
Strike is just her husbando fantasy.
He's absolutely he's
one-legged
Strike is, like,
husbando.
similar to Watson in Sherlock Holmes. He's like this, injured veteran who has PTSD or some shit, and it makes him hard.
One-legged husbando.
Okay, so Robin shows up at the park. She finds a bench that it's for a dead woman who loved Yorkshire. And she also loves Yorkshire. Everyone's from Yorkshire in this whole conversation. Robin and the girl as well, Rachel. And Rachel, the moderator is Rachel Ledwell. She's Edie's niece? Yeah? And she's also a little goth girl, so I thought that's who you were talking about earlier, but that's not
There's
the
two
case.
little goth girls and another fucking character this late.
Yeah, she's a tomboy. That's a better way of putting it. She's an online tomboy girl.
Who pretends to be a man online.
And she pretends to be a man online.
Yeah! We got it!
There you go. Also, she talks about some guy she met on Club Penguin. Zoltan from Club Penguin, who was nice to her at first because they both had, like, fucked up childhoods. But then Zoltan started hitting on her in Club Penguin. I have to add, he was asking her to be Club Penguin boyfriend, and girlfriend, and that really disturbs Rachel. So she starts acting like a man online from now on. Yeah, that happens. Eventually, Robin gets her confidence, and at the very end of it, they talk for so fucking long. They talk so long about the funny pedo, Penn.
Can I just...
and then finally they get to Morehouse, and she reveals that Morehouse is in a wheelchair, and her brain immediately shoots to the one person they have met in a wheelchair, Inigo. But it's not him, actually, you dumbass, you stupid reader, you fucking idiot who jumped to conclusions because he was in a wheelchair. He's actually an Indian man who's very smart, and he's in Cambridge, and he's Indian.
Can I interject real quick and say that JK has posited the two outcomes of women receiving sexual harassment is A, they really wanted it and enjoyed it, or B, it'll trick them into thinking that they might be men.
Well, there you fucking go. God damn. God, I hate this lady. Anyway, so they decide they're going to go to Cambridge because he works at Cambridge. And their friendship fell apart when Rachel found this out, that he, in reality, lived in Cambridge. And she made a joke to someone else online that he did wheelies in his wheelchair. And then they told him. Which is an absolutely insane thing to say about your friend, that you learned that they're in a wheelchair and you joked that they do wheelies. It's just, it doesn't sound like... I mean, it just doesn't sound like what a real person would do. It doesn't sound believable to me. It's like, oh, it's funny wheelies. Like, anyway. So they go to meet him in Cambridge, and this is where I found out that Robin was raped, because it just comes out. And it is really uncomfortable. So they're like walking around Cambridge, and she says, they passed many young people taking in the soft evening air. The sun imparted a golden glow in the brick buildings. Robin, whose own student life had ended so grotesquely, found herself remembering those brief moments of happiness she usually avoided thinking about because of what had happened in the stairwell of her halls of residence. she'd come to believe over the intervening years that had the rapist in the gorilla mask never reached out of that dark space and seized her, she and Matthew would have split up before they were 20. So it's just, like, did it really have to be a guy in a gorilla mask in a dark hallway? Like, could she not have been, like, you know, she could have sexual trauma, but did it have to be, like, so, like, rippery? Like, and it just comes up, right? Like, they're just walking around Cambridge and it just happened. She just says this. It's really, really uncomfortable. So then they're, like, looking for him, and they look at, like, the astrophysics department because he loves planets or whatever, and an Asian woman is there. She's Asian, by the way. She's Asian over there.
Oh, I
And they
didn't know
ask
she
her
was
to open the
Asian. Thank you for
door.
clarifying.
Yeah, they ask her to open the door, and she says, no, he's over there, actually. And so then they go on. So she's just Asian.
I'll
and
make
this-
sure to
we
read
just
this
had to know
character's
it.
dialogue as Asian.
Yeah, she speaks in an Asian way.
Right, an Asian accent. Yeah.
Yeah, she's
That
Asian. And a woman. You can tell she's a woman by looking at her, because that's how it works. So anyway, so then they, like, don't go to that place, and they go over, and they try to get in the door, and they can't without a key card, so there's good security. But then, oh no! Some fucking dumbass physicist with his head in the clouds, because he's an astrophysicist, just opens the door for them. And they walk in all easy-like, and he's, like, staring at his phone. He doesn't even care. And then they like walk down the hallway and they see a black woman, which is crazy, right? Like a black woman at Cambridge. Like you're really gonna have to draw attention that she's black and a woman. And they run to a black woman who's got like her like mouth, her hands over her mouth, and they're looking into the doorway where the guy they're going to talk to, his throat has been slit, and he's in his wheelchair also.
Yeah.
The throat slit in his wheelchair.
Much like a Pez dispenser.
Yeah, it's
His head hanging back. I knew it was Pez.
That's his signature.
Yeah, so he's dead as fuck, and they're like, oh my god, it's horrible. What the fuck happens? Okay, she's dead. He's dead.
He's dead. He's still
dead.
They're,
So
they're just really
dead.
shocked by it. He's so fucking dead, and they leave. And I guess they talk to the other people who are there, see if they know anything about him. Man, I don't even fucking remember this part.
Does it matter?
No,
Does
it
anything
doesn't
else that
matter. It's a whole
happened
chapter that doesn't matter
matters?
because it's only like 3 pages long.
Great.
Then
This guy is dead. This dude Vikas has been killed.
yeah,
And
well,
there's-
basically you know that it's not Morehouse now because he's dead.
Yeah.
And he was killed as they were like going to find him, right? Yeah. They talk about him being interested in it and him and his life and who cares. Okay, and then so this whole thing that I guess you mentioned like at the beginning of the book where they're trying to get dirt on Charlotte's soon-to-be ex-husband, Jago Ross, finally happens. It happens now, near the end of the book, in the middle of something important happening in the plot. So there's 2 little girls who are jumping horses because they're rich British children. And Yago is pushing them way too hard. He's like, jump faster and longer and more better. And the children are getting like flustered and he keeps setting the bar higher and higher because it's like a metaphor or whatever. And then the horse falls and it crushes her leg and
Oh my god.
and her leg's broken and the horse is all fucked up and Yago Ross is like, you fucked it all up, you stupid bitch.
What the
To his
shit?
daughter. This is like a totally rational way to display like abusing your children. This is like a real situation that would really happen. And Midge pops out of the bushes because this is also a good way to blackmail someone and says, I got it on camera, look, I got it. And it's like waving around the camera.
No way. There's no way.
This sounds made up.
Yeah,
With actual injury.
Yeah, she was hidden, and then the girl got hurt, so she stood up because she couldn't stand to see the girl get hurt. But also, she just fucking stands up and is like, "I got it on camera, you bitch!" And then she runs away, and you know he's like, "Arr!" It's fucking nuts and stupid.
Fucking way. Okay.
And then like Strike goes to visit Yago Ross. He shows up to talk to him about all of this that's going down, and Charlotte's there, and Charlotte is dressed in a sexy dress, and she's drunk, because she's trying to seduce Diego, her husband, or something.
No, she's trying to seduce Strike.
Well, I mean, but she's there, right, when he shows up.
Right.
And as they're leaving, Charlotte is like following him out and wants to seduce him. And Iago is like, I'm gonna drag you into this and fuck up your whole life. And Strike is like, I don't give a shit. He's like, you're so fucked. You hate your kids. And then he like storms out, and Charlotte's like, please get a drink with me. Take me home. I need you. And this is Strike's like big character moment. He's like, no. I am gonna go get a drink, but alone. So he like leaves her on the street corner, and he's really growing. He's really becoming a better man.
The thing that shattered him was that Charlotte didn't really care.
Oh yeah.
To have full custody of her own children with Iago, even after knowing, like, seeing physical proof of how abusive he is. That was what made Cormoran be like, this bitch really is absolutely nothing.
Yeah. After remembering that Robin was like, think about the children, he like thinks about the children for once, and he's like, wow, that's fucked.
Now that you say it out loud, it makes so much sense.
So then he like goes to the off license and buys some alcohol, which I guess is like a 7-Eleven. I don't know. Yeah. He buys some alcohol and just brings it to the hotel room that he's staying in, and Robin's also staying there, and she peeks out and she's like, oh, like, I've got some news about the case. Let's talk about it. And so they both, and she has just taken a shower, which Strike notices because she's in a braless t-shirt, and he can see her tits, and it smells of shampoo in the room. And so they drink whiskey and look at all these chats where Robin did have the quiz, and she had been like cramming for the quiz, Ahmad, and she failed the quiz for a strange reason, because at the same time that she's taking the quiz, Paperwhite messages her and says, don't tell Anime I'm talking to you. And Anime's like, are you talking to Paperwhite? And she says, no. And then she instantly fails. She's just blocked from the game. So owned. And Strike is like, why did you do that? Why did you lie? Why'd you fail the quiz? And Robin's like, Paperwhite is a friend of mine. I'm too deep in the game. She was nice to me.
That's not at all what she said.
What did she say?
Please forgive my soft feminine affect.
They're just like, it's fine. I don't even have my phone. I can't.
Yeah. Okay. So she knows. Robin just like knows that somehow Anime knew. It's weird, but there's something going on with Paperwhite's account.
Paperwhite was apparently in a relationship with Morehouse or something.
Yes.
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
Paperwhite and Morehouse were going to go to the police.
They were going to go to the police.
I'm going to go to the police, and you're going to help me. And she's like, oh no, that'll be dangerous. He'll kill us. And then Morehouse died.
Yeah, okay, yeah. Then they, like, drink alcohol and talk for a little bit, and Strike can't stop thinking about Robin's tits. He can't. He, like, mentions it midstream of thought while they're talking about the case.
Not out loud.
He's thinking about it so much. And then he, like, walks away to get an alcohol glass for himself, and when he comes back, Robin's like, they called me again. These people who have been using voice changes, they called me to tell me to dig up Edie's body because she.
Oh yeah, Bram has a voice changer in my chapter. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
There you go.
I forgot to say that.
Yeah. So this guy with the voice changer tells him to dig up her body. There's something in a letter that was buried with Edie or whatever. And they're like, wow, that's so fucked. Maybe it's somebody we think it is. And they discuss more of the case. They try to put their clues together. Yeah. They talk about some fucking Nazis. I think I missed the point where, for some reason, a book by a sexual master from America is brought up. His name's Kosh, and he's a pickup artist. And it is extremely awkward how J.K. Rowling writes the pickup artist lines. Let me see if I can just give you a little glimpse of that. Let's see. Okay, so it starts, Digital Game, the ebook. Repeat after me. You will not find a wife on the internet. Women online can get as much dick as they want. Even 4s or 5s get hit on regularly, which means they've gotten. And at that moment, Strike realizes he's American. I don't know what part of that gave it away that he was American, but I didn't see it. I don't know. I don't get what's going on there.
JK hates
But yeah,
everyone who isn't an upper class British person.
so in that pickup artist shit, it's revealed that all the lines that Pen of Justice are using are from the pickup artist bullshit. And in fact, a lot of the men are using the pickup artist bullshit lines that they all recognize. Robin starts to realize they're all from the same playbook. Yeah. Okay. What else happened to this fucking section? They get some stuff from the police that they find out the Nazis were talking about the shit, and that one of the Nazis knows who Enemy is, and the police really believe it, and they're like locked on that, but Cormoran and Robin think they're wrong because the things don't add up properly, and that the police are too quick to jump on the right-wing neo-Nazis to think that they did the crime, and it doesn't match the Nazis' crimes MO, because they normally like send bombs. They send bombs places. They send a bomb to strike and shit, and that they normally just harass people online or send a bomb. They'd never go and stab or slit someone's throat like they did with Morehouse.
They never commit a school
seem
shooting
right.
or something.
Huh?
Oh shit! That was in my section too. There was something about school shootings in America, and they're like, "Oh, it happened because this guy was rejected by women." And it's like, yeah, it didn't happen because of any other reason. No,
Yeah,
it
sure.
never
That's
happens for
the
any
reason.
other reason. It's because they hate women. That's
Right.
my-
It is revealed that the neo-Nazis have a guy in Germany who makes great latex masks, and that they always do the crime in a mask. And also,
Is it a gorilla
they have
mask?
CCTV footage of the night where Morehouse was killed, and a white neo-Nazi wearing a brown-colored mask of Vikas rolls in on the wrong wheelchair up to the building, and the same guy who opened the door for Strike absentmindedly opens the door for him and looks at his phone, so he doesn't notice it's a white guy in a rubber brown
Holy
guy
shit.
mask, and not
That's
his colleague.
Holy fuck!
Oh yeah, that's a big piece that we're missing.
Holy shit!
So what you need to know to make sense of my section is that Alexis's section was where they went to Comic-Con and Robin interviewed a fat woman who had written a book about the Ink Black Heart.
Her name was Yasmin Weatherhead, and she was their former assistant.
So she's this girl who's related, and also she's fat. You can't forget, she's very fat.
And she is the moderator, Hartella.
Let's see. They get something to eat. They eat. They drink and they eat a little bit to talk over the case.
We need a catalog of every meal.
They always gotta have their little meal. So then Strike goes, and Robin had interviewed Yasmin under the pretense that she was a reporter interested in Yasmin's upcoming book, which has details from the Ink Black Heart that would have happened in the film had Edie not been killed. So it reveals that she has some knowledge that was like stolen from the scene of the crime when Edie was killed. And anyway, Strike decides to interview Yasmin. He just bursts into her house, and like Yasmin is this crying fat mess who can't get it together. She's crying the whole time. She has no self-control or ability to have confidence. And Strike is just like, "Tell me, you little shit. Tell me why you helped those Nazis, you fuck." And she's like crying. She's like, "I didn't help the Nazis on purpose. I had no idea." And he's like, "God, I'm sick of you, you bitch. You're so
fat bitch."
And she's crying and sniveling, and she has a cardigan on. She's like wiping her snot on the cardigan, which JK takes pains to mention. She says her thick legs wobbled on the ground. It's awful. The whole section is awful. Strike is just like screaming at this fat woman about being terrible and helping the Nazis to convince her to reveal something about the crime. And Yasmin does reveal, ultimately, she's so confused, she has no idea who Enemy is, she has all these ideas that don't make any sense, and they're poorly thought out and dumb, and Strike is like, wow, she doesn't know anything about being a detective, she's so bad at this. She'll just believe anything. And so finally she says at the end, she offhandedly mentions that she was being blackmailed by Anime, and that he had her doing favors for her. I'll just mention it later. Strike asks what the favors are, and she says, "I've been logging in as Anime and posting." So, and he goes, he's so mad, he's so pissed. He's like trying to hide his rage, but he's already mad. So he's like, "How long have you been fucking doing that?" And she says, since Comic-Con, since she told Anime that someone weird spoke to her who definitely wasn't really interviewing her. So Anime has known since Alexis's section that the police are onto them, and has used Yasmin to log on so he has an effective alibi. So all the shit they did deducing, all that shit is
all of the background progression that didn't happen in the foreground is also worthless.
Yes.
Yeah, all of that shit that you spent reading 600 pages, it's all worthless. Throw it out of the book. You better keep reading for the last 100 pages, because that's not going to be important. And that's virtually, all the important parts of my section. One thing I do want to mention that I missed, is that when they're talking to Rachel in the park, when Robin's talking to her, she instinctively refers to Anime as a woman. And Robin goes, "Why do you call her a woman?" And she's like, "Well, you can just tell with women, like the way she was talking, like Anime said to me before they had their falling out, that she felt like she was the same person as Edie. And that they were the same in every way, and kept talking about it. And a man wouldn't say that. A boy wouldn't talk that way. And then when they had their falling out, she got really catty and gross on the internet, and only a woman would do that." And it was very heavy-handedly mentioning that, gee, even if this is a man, he sure acts like a woman and wishes he was a woman who's very famous and successful, and created this thing he loves. Anyway, okay, so that's my whole section.
Jesus Christ. All right, Wasim, put us out of our misery.
Take us out.
Okay, but before we go, I just want to get a poll. Who done it? What do you guys think? Let's go.
I can't
Hunter,
say anything. I never did it. I can't say
You, the reader, did it.
Hunter, who done it?
Reader.
Hunter, guess, who done it?
J.K. Rowling.
J.K. Rowling.
I'm gonna say it's Ormond. Fuck it, I don't care. It's Ormond.
Ormond, okay. Mr. Fingers Davis, sorry.
Sorry, I just ate something.
Probably a better answer.
The
Okay.
sandwich did it. Okay.
I was not paying nearly enough attention.
All right.
So I'm just gonna shoot a out of the dark Robin.
What's it?
Okay.
Robin did it.
That'd be fucked.
All right. Ashcroft. Tim Ashcroft.
It's the pedo.
Wolf?
It's the pedo.
Okay. Waylondo Forever, who did it?
It's still Anime.
Yeah.
Right. But who is
I
Anime?
actually think that it's the kid that fucking Bram's it.
Oh, Henry.
No.
Oh, you think it's Bram?
No, I don't think it's Bram. I think it's Caldwell. What I can't remember his fucking name.
Wally.
Caldwell?
I don't know.
It was probably Robin. I don't know.
Why would you
Okay.
think it's Rob? She's literally the
It's
protagonist.
I think it was Wally.
Oh, you think it was
Maybe
Wally?
she did herself. I don't
Is
know.
either Wally or Tim.
Edie
Okay.
did it for attention.
Okay,
She
so,
did pay attention. Yeah. I mean, that's like what everyone is saying through the whole book. Like,
my section begins. I'm standing up, by the way. I'm standing up holding my
Good.
laptop.
Good.
So, my section begins in the middle of a text message conversation between Pez and Robin, and apparently the cops are at Pez's house fucking with him, and he's texting her what the shit, and she's like, sorry, and
The
he probably
cops
just wants
can't
to
stop
fuck, so she
commenting on
just,
my
does
big
it.
cock.
She just stops it and responds to him, and that's the last we see of Pez in the book. He's no longer important. Then Strike texts what's her name? Fucking. And this is, by the way, this is how it starts off. I have no idea what the fuck is going. Strike. This is the second page I'm reading. Strike texts Robin. Every suspect since Comic-Con is back in, and I'm like, God fucking
My
damn it,
God.
no. All right, so they keep going, and there's just more gibbering. Robin's traumatized by Vikas getting murdered. I didn't know that he was Morehouse until this discussion. I had no idea. So then she's like, damn, okay, you know what? I need to fucking reach out to Rachel again because I have no idea what the fuck is going on. And Rachel's really traumatized, and Robin's like, I need to game this super good. And she like manipulates what effectively looks like me to manipulates Rachel into sending like a nude of and this nude is a nude of Paperwhite, of supposed to be a nude of Paperwhite that like was posted in the chat to like harass somebody. I'm not really sure why Rachel has this fucking nude, but she has the nude. And so then like Robin's like, oh swag, that's amazing. I got this nude. Hell yeah, we're gonna find Paperwhite because Paperwhite's the only one of these people we don't like really know their identity, right? So that's great. So what happens next? Okay. So she does some like reverse Google searching, and it's like, oh, this is a person named Nicole Crystal who's Scottish, and we need to go like meet them, and that's great. It's in Glasgow. So
she's on the island.
She's on the island, right? She gets a call from an unmarked number, and the number said, the line says, "I am going to kill you." The line went dead. So that's how the first chapter ends. Another shitty Mary Elizabeth Coleridge poem, and we're into this chapter where Strike is just like fucking having a terrible time. His leg is fucked. He's having like spasms. There's like pus and shit coming out. He's like, he's bargaining with God. He's, fucking. Really
what if he's like a lizard and it's gonna like grow a new, more powerful one?
Right, he's like wiggling about, and fucking like all these people in the street are just like, I don't give a shit. And Robin is like, calls him and is like, I know who Paperwhite is. And he's like, oh, bloody good job. Okay, great. I'll see you soon. And they yell at each other, and like there's like they're arguing about like where they should meet up, and like Strike is like, I'll go back to the office, and Robin's like, no, come back here. There are terrorists out and about. They will kill you. And he's like, I'm a man. I don't like. He's not really doing this, but he's kind of like, you don't need to worry about me. And she's like, you're fucking crippled. Of course I do. And it's like he's really having like a very, very bad time. He's like really, really. His leg isn't working. So he gets back to like, I think it's his house for a second. Denmark Street? I don't give a shit. And guess who's there? It's Madeline, who I've never met in the fucking book yet. but Madeline proceeds to scream his fucking head off, calling him a bastard. She's wasted. She's fucking wasted. Yelling at him, fucking freaking out. And he's like, yeah, I'm so fucking cool. I don't give a shit. My leg is hurting so bad. I just want you to go away. And he's like, she's fucking going off on him. And then she's like, you just want to fuck the Charlotte, don't you? And he's like, no, she wants to fuck me, but I don't give a shit about either of you. Fuck you. And he's like holding her arm because she's like hitting him, and she does like a karate move and kicks him, and then the line, Strike felt her stiletto heel stab his thigh, and he stepped backwards. His real foot skidded on the lipstick she dropped, and with a yell of pain he went down lower, and he hits his head on the concrete and starts vomiting. She's like, oh goodness, I'm so sorry. He's like, get the fuck out of here. So she leaves. This is the first time I've met this character, so like, this book rules.
Yeah.
He's in the hotel, and he goes up to the hotel, and Robin is there, and she's like, what the fuck happened to you? And he's like, I got fucking destroyed. And then we open up a chat log in the next chapter, of course, and it's Worm talking to Enemy, and she's like, and they're like, and Enemy's like, you dumb bitch, are you fucking talking to the cops? And Worm's like, no, I'm not. And then Enemy's like, I'm gonna fucking kill you if you fucking talk to those detectives again. I know you've been talking to them, so I'm gonna kill you. And Worm's like, oh please, God, don't. So Strike is like, wakes up, and he's like, fuck, I'm so fucked. And so he goes to, they kind of make a decision about going to meet this Nicole Crystal person, and Grant calls them. Grant's like Edie's uncle. And anyway, he goes to the fucking emergency room. Oh, Grant has been an unman this whole time in in the Middle East, and he's like fucking coming back for some reason. And so he's in the fucking like emergency room at the hospital, and there's like screaming babies, and he's on Twitter looking at Enemy having like a fascist meltdown on Twitter, like quoting Roman emperors and shit. And there's like, of course, like the black nurse and the fucking Asian nurse, and he's like briefly noting all the races of these different people and their Brazilian accents and shit. He what's next? Yeah, the fucking doctor's like, you need to not work because your shit is fucked, dude. There's some arguing with his lady that stabbed him or whatever. And then he doesn't get the drugs he needs, and he's like, "Oh, Tim Ashcroft is being a woke SJW about about stranger danger, but he's actually like the pedophile or whatever." And just keeps going, blah blah blah. In Evan, there's just a bunch of like weird Twitter stuff that doesn't go anywhere. Something about like people trying to cancel Key, and they find out that like Kia and like Wally are the same or some shit. More stuff. So much stuff. Okay, I want to get out of this section because I don't understand it. Okay. Okay, right. So they go back to the office. Who cares? Oh yeah, and they finally go up to Glasgow and talk to Nicole. I don't really know how far Glasgow is, but this seems like it happened pretty quick. They're talking, and Nicole is like, "Oh, that is a picture of me," but like, I don't know what the fuck about it. I don't know what any of this shit is. And it turns out she has nothing to do with it. Absolutely nothing to do with it. She's like, "Well, I sent these news to my boyfriend, my ex-boyfriend Marcus, but like, we're cool. Like, he's a nice guy. I like his girlfriend." And it's just like these very normal people, and they're like, "Okay, well, this is a dead end," and it just is a dead end, by the way. Like, they don't go anywhere further with this whole thing.
God damn it!
It's just a random nude.
It's just Paperwhite's random nude. I guess what they mean is like they're like, so that nude is not actually Paperwhite.
It's not Paperwhite. Like, yeah, it's just a random nude that they sent.
It's just a random nude that Paperwhite is using, and they're like, all right, who the fuck is Paperwhite?
A random nude that they internet search only found this person, and this person was like, oh yeah, but I didn't send it to him. Like,
yeah, right, exactly.
Okay.
So they find out that the like Nazis, the like Lepine's disciple and like the Julius Evola like hashtags and the SJW Twitters are like the same people, and they're doing like some coordinated girl hunting or whatever on Twitter. Whatever. There's like a bunch of obsession with some character named Zoltan who Rachel met on Club Penguin.
Yeah, from Club Penguin. Yeah.
I don't know what the fuck this is really about, but whatever. We continue. More conversating with their employee Pat, who has the e-cigarette. E-fag gets said a couple more times. Oh yeah, they're like arguing about shit. They're just like really mad at each other. Like, oh, and then they make a decision. They're like, we need to go talk to Zoe. And Strike is like, that dumb fucking small girl doesn't know shit. And Robin's like, I know her. And he was like, you talked to her once, and she's like, that's all it took. And so he's like really scared that they're gonna get ambushed there, but they go, and Strike is like so fucked that he's like grumpily sitting in the car. And oh yeah, there's like all caps screaming. It's so good. Okay, wait. Okay, there's my favorite line in this. Okay, now I know you just think I'm some jitsi foo who merrily walks into dangerous situations. I don't want to lose you. Blah 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 blah. And then there was silence in the BMW. Strike was processing what he just heard. I don't want to lose you. Was that something a woman would say about what he feared? In his darkest moments, he'd become a crock, a fat 40-year-old, one-legged chain smoker, deluded about his attractiveness and competence, still imagining himself the gifted amateur boxer with a washboard stomach, who'd been capable of pulling the most beautiful women at Oxford University. Just like, oh shit.
Holy fuck.
Who's a fuck about this character? Like, this guy has the seems to be somewhat likable, but he's just a fucking dipshit weirdo Afghanistan vet. He fucking sucks so much ass. Anyway,
is that where he lost his leg?
Yes.
He lost his leg in
Afghanistan. He's an Afghanistan vet.
I was wondering if he lost it in like a lame way, like Greg Abbott.
No, apparently in another book he sees protesters protesting the Afghanistan war, and he's like, I understand, but I won't join them. I don't regret my time in Afghanistan. Suck my dick.
I had
Anyway.
a great time murdering
I don't
people and
regret my
losing a
time in
leg.
Afghanistan.
Anyway.
Sleep with one leg.
So
I
she
gave
talks
that
to
leg
Zoe-
for the queen.
She goes in and talks to Zoe, and Zoe's like, I'm cowering, holy shit, I'm so scared, fuck. And like they talk, and there's like they go into the game, and Zoe's like, fine, I'll let you be on my account. And Worm and Paperwhite Arts, and this is actually like one of the kind of more clever bits, is that they're in the IRC chat or whatever the shit, and there's the mod chat and the private channel are like parallel on the page, so they're like implied to be happening at the same time, like poorly, and like so Worm is talking to Paperwhite in one chat, and Enemy is just kind of like pontificating in the other chat, but it's actually Robin who's talking as Zoe Worm's account, and like Anomi is like, what's happening? Blah 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 blah. Worm, are you talking to Paperwhite in the private chat? And like Robin is like, no, I'm not talking to Paper, or says yes, I am talking to Paperwhite. And Enemy is like, would you be comfortable to see what you're saying right now? And Worm is like, yeah, I don't care. And Paperwhite says in the private chat, liar, blah blah blah. And then Worm says, it's funny the way you and Paperwhite never speak at the same time. And then says, isn't it, in the other chat. And then Worm gets banned from both chats. So we learn from this that Paperwhite and Anomi are the same person.
Oh.
Even though we learned that earlier, kind of, didn't we?
Wait, we did?
I thought we did.
I think so.
That's what I took from the last section.
Well, yeah.
I'm not really sure. I thought this was kind of clever. I was like, okay, cool. Like some fucking detective work is actually happening. And Zoe's like, holy shit, what did you do? Because I'm not gonna get fucking killed. And she's like, no, you're not. It's fine. Me and Strike have already survived a bombing. You're fine.
Oh, I guess that's what I took when Robin failed the test. It was like, are you talking to Paperwhite?
Yeah.
No,
Oh,
instantly banned. I'm like, well, obviously Paperwhite.
So Zoe is convinced that somebody Enemy is somebody who lives at North Grove. And she thinks it's Nils. She thinks that Nils is supposed to be Enemy. And Robin and Strike talk about it. There's more Twitter stuff, more like Club Penguin, Zoltan. I don't care.
They yell at the pedophile.
That's just like a total.
Oh yeah. Thanks, Riley.
Yeah.
Sorry. Then Tim is like outside of Zoe's place. Tim Ashcroft has been dating Zoe this whole time, and she's like 14. And so Strike gets out, and Strike is like, I'm gonna fucking kill you. And then Tim is like kind of like trying to front. He's like, you're a cripple. I could maybe take you. And then Strike is like yells at him until he kind of cowers and goes away. And then he like Zoe comes out and is like, Tim, and he just like walks away. So it implies that Strike and Robin have ended the pedophilia. So good job.
Good job, Isabel.
By yelling at him.
Definitely won't do that again.
There's a pretty good banter in the next chapter. You could have been more sympathetic, said Robin. I am sympathetic, said Strike. Why do you think I just threatened to rip Ashcroft's dick off? Nice. Really good writing. Let's see. Continue to blither. Oh yeah, they argue, and it's like it's not Nils. There's a whole section that's in italics for some reason. I think they're whispering. So then they're like, shit, all right, well, we have no fucking leads still. It can't be Nils. That doesn't make any sense, and Zoe's a dipshit. More stuff about Vikas, more stuff about Twitter, and then they're like, oh, okay, fine. We have to go something's interesting is happening here. Like, something doesn't make a lot of sense with these Twitter accounts that I'm not really sure what, but we have to go talk to Grant now, and I think we can learn something from Grant. Grant is Edie's like uncle or something.
Yeah.
Comes back from man, and he's there, and he's like, "I'll give you guys a drink," and like they're like, "We'll do good cop, bad cop on him," and so they literally good cop, bad cop him, and they like bully him, and they're like, "There was a letter. There were two. You said to the police that there was one letter put inside of Edie Ledwell's grave, but the police told us that, or we found out some other way. I'm not really sure how they found this out. I think it was from the cops that there were. You told a reporter. You told somebody else. You told Blay, right? You told Blay that you would put one of the letters in the two letters in the grave. And he was like, "Oh no, I didn't. I must have misspoken." And they were like, "No, you're full of shit." And the Grant's daughters ask Strike how he lost his leg, and he was like, "It was blown up in Afghanistan." They were like, "Did it hurt?" And he's like, "Yeah." It's like a whole fucking part of this. And so then it's kind of revealed that there were two letters given to Grant to put in Edie's grave, but he didn't put both in. And so Strike is like, "Grant, you're being a fucking liar. I'm gonna fucking tell the cops." And they basically bully him, and he's like, "Fine, look, this is the fucking letter, and this is why I didn't put it in." And I thought this was also kind of clever, where the letter is like this, like it's a letter from Josh to Edie because he's still alive, and like the letter is like, "You made me think you loved me and then dropped me like a piece of shit. You would have tortured. You're an despicable cunt. I want you to rot next to fucking hell. I'm going to take control of the Ink Black Heart forever." And apparently Katya Epcot. Grant, I think Josh has died at some point. I think.
He does not.
Wait, did you say Edie's alive?
No, Edie's not alive. Sorry. Grant or Josh is still alive.
Josh is alive, and
Josh is like too much of a cripple, and so he gave a letter to Katya. I was under the impression that Josh was dead, but he gave this letter to Katya Upcott. And Katya Upcott was the one who gave it to Grant to put in the grave. And apparently the idea is that Katya wrote the letter from Grant's from Josh's crippled mind, because he couldn't write it himself. And so they together wrote this awful letter to Edie that was really terrible. And then there was a second letter from some other person, I don't remember who. And they were like, "Wow, this is a really horrible letter." And then Strike is like, "But this isn't Katya's handwriting." And Grant was like, "That's not?" And they were like, "Oh my fucking God, the letter wasn't written by Katya. It was, but so then who wrote this? And you know, like, how did this all happen?" So they're like, "What the fuck? We need to go to Katya." Okay, and so this last chapter. Okay, this is the last section of the book. This is the end.
Fuck? What? God damn this book.
This last shit is so high octane. I dare say it's a little thrilling. Like, I was kind of like, holy shit during this section.
Really?
You have to remember it's after like 1,000 fucking pages.
1,200 pages.
Nothing happened.
It comes after like several chapters of nothing. Like just conversation. Right? It's not like the end of fucking Alan Wake or whatever, or like where they anyway. Fucking so they're here, and it's they're going to Katya's place, and it's like there's some stuff about Zoltan here, and like Bohemian Rhapsody, and like music lovers, and somebody who would only know all this music that have famous cello parts.
My God.
No. Oh no! No, so they continue, and they go to the house, and like it's a fucking bloodbath. Fucking okay, another piece. They're like, apparently the killer, like there was a car that the killer was using and diverted into a tree, and then ran away. And they were like, "Why could that be?" And it's because the driver was afraid of dogs, and there was a dog nearby where the car was. Who was afraid of dogs? Does anyone remember the character that was afraid of dogs?
No.
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 It is mentioned. It is mentioned. I read it. It is mentioned. It's okay. So it's cello, afraid of dogs.
It fucking does.
And they're in there, and it's a fucking bloodbath, and they have to yell at each other a little bit more about about going in, like unalarmed or unarmed or whatever. And Strike is like, "You're a woman, you can't go in," or whatever, and she does. And Strike is like hobbling into the fucking thing behind her with crutches because the Epcots are like screaming from upstairs. She gets in there, she opens the door, and she puts on her rape alarm, and like he's calling the cops or whatever. And then it turns out that the guy with the machete is Gus. Gus is the bad guy.
I'd fucking damn it.
Gus?
literally don't know who that is.
He is the fucking
cello playing
kid.
child.
He's the cello playing child of fucking
Gotcha. And Inigo.
of Katya and Inigo. He's been in one scene.
One scene the whole book. He's been in one scene the whole book. The only thing you know about him, he plays the cello. And they're like fighting, and she fights him off, and then he stabs fucking Strike, like gets him with the machete, and he's like on the ground like fuck, and she like fights him off, and then they're like fighting around in the kitchen. I think Inigo's head is off of his body.
What
yeah,
the fuck?
Decapitated.
He decapitated his dad?
I think. Well, okay. I'm not. I don't remember.
Broke the Pez.
Oh no, he's not decapitated. He's just dead. It's fucking Inigo though. He's dead. And this is the fucking best part. This is amazing, right? So like they're facing off in the living room, and I don't mean amazing in a good way. It is literally incredible.
Unhinged.
Yeah.
Supposed to write this because it's despicable. She says, "I am going to rape you before I kill you." Trigger warning. Sorry. And then Robin's like, "The police is on the way." And then Gus says, "That's all right." Half panting, half giggling. "I probably won't last long. It'll be my first time. Does it make you wet thinking I'm going to rape you? I know women fantasize about being raped." There's blood on the ground everywhere. And then he asks, "Do you smell a fish?" And she grabs like a fucking marble and like smashes him on the head and runs.
She grabs a what?
She grabs a
Like a piece of marble on like a marble statue.
Okay.
So he goes up. Katya has been stabbed upstairs. Flavia is like vibing, trying not to die. They lock themselves in the bathroom. "I'm gonna kill you, fucking whore, fucking bitch." This is a woman who's been raped. It's like very, very like cool that J.K. Rowling wrote this. He's like there's like some slapstick violence upstairs.
Good God.
Slapstick
violence.
I'm missing something here. Oh yeah. She because Gus is coming after Flavia and she hits him in the head.
She lays down some Home Alone traps for him.
With a pot. And two men rush in, and they're the neighbors, and they heard the rape alarm. And I think it's because Strike did something that made this work. Strike did something heroic in here. Anyway, that's it. Like, you know, he opens the door he unlocks the door because it's been locked by Gus or something. I don't know why.
That's the most he can manage.
The guy with one leg was there. Thank
Yeah.
God.
So that's the end of the action, and then it goes into Coda. The final Grey's Anatomy heart passage, and another fucking shitty poem from Christina Rossetti. And it's Strike in the hospital, and Robin is like, "Wow, you're getting healthier, yeah? You only asked me to bring healthy stuff and some dark chocolate. Wow, look at you, good for you." They kind of discuss the case, they gibber and they jabber. There's a character named Angela Darwish, which is like very fascinating. That this is I looked this up, is the only character whose ethnic identity is not named because Darwish is a Palestinian name.
Can't get into that one.
She's
Can't
the
get
Secret
into that
Service
one.
agent. She's the M15, M15.
MI5.
MI5. And so then, like, while they're in there, they kind of discuss, like, okay, Gus was the murderer. Wow, this makes so much sense. By the way, it fucking doesn't.
Yeah.
Because Gus is when Gus is in the room, they're like the way they describe his life, that he's like a shut-in, no idea how to do anything. He's kind of dumb. He's like drooling and like he's not a mastermind, right? Anomi is supposed to be kind of smart. Gus is just like this weird, disgusting little animal creature.
How does Gus know like Latin? Like that's a huge part of Anomi.
Inigo quotes it all the fucking time.
Oh my God. Oh, so he's just like a faker in that too.
He's just a dirty little incel boy.
So it's sort of been made known that Robin has been or Strike has been in the hospital for a little while, and then Robin's like, all right, well, Strike is like, come, let's like hang out. What are you doing tonight? You want to hang out with me in the hospital? And she's like, well, actually, I actually have a date. And Strike is like, you have a date? And it's somebody named Ryan Murphy, who I think is a cop.
Yeah.
Cucked by a random cop.
Yeah, this came up in my section. He asked her on a date, and she like tentatively said yes.
Yeah, okay, that's what's happening then. And
300 pages ago,
and
400
Strike
pages.
is like, oh, I hope that doesn't go well. And basically he's like, fuck.
Listen, he deserves sex. He opened a door.
And then it says, and the worst of it, he knew his predicament could have been avoided if only in his recent uttered words he'd opened his eyes. Like, I don't really, not sure. Anyway, that's the last sentence of the book. Psychotic.
So wait,
psychotic.
I was
reprehensible.
I expected nothing, and I'm still disappointed.
Truly,
it's just like the killer is just like a random character.
A random character.
It's
you didn't see that coming.
The book is misogynistic. Like, that's the craziest thing about it. The hatred of women in this book, or some kind of frustration with women, is so thinly fucking veiled. Like, even at the end where it's like, oh, that bitch went and got a real date because fucking Strike didn't tell like him that he loved her, and that's a lesson. Like, after this horrifyingly traumatic thing, like, that's the point you end on the book with. That's the big fucking point, is that fucking Strike should have been like, I love you. After all of that, she was raped as a fucking teenager or a college student, and then went through this shit. And then the whole point from this is, damn, I got stabbed. I should have fucking told that bitch that I want to date with her. Your fucking coworker, by the way, because you can't be fucking normal. Psychotic, dude. Sorry.
Yeah, all of the women are like, they're wounded in some way, and a lot of them are just like irredeemably horrible. Like, Robin doesn't get that let play, but it's just because she's the main character. It's fucking gross, man.
I still am trying to fucking paste the mystery together in my head, because it's so strange. Because you have everything localized in this area where like everyone is within 15 minutes of each other, because it's like a narrative, and it's like cheap and unconvincing. But at least in this case, you can think that it's going to be something that is tightly written, and that you're going to be interacting with everyone who is relevant to the case, and that like eventually this grand tapestry is going to be revealed, and it's not going to be kind of the random frayed chords of real life, but rather the intricate planning of a novel. But instead, she does the contrivances of a novel, but they're all random digressions that don't mean anything, and then it's just this random fucking person who's the killer.
Yeah, it's really crazy to follow along with these detectives who just kind of stumble into every clue, and then to hear it all play out, and then it just happens at the end, right? Like, they're too late.
They didn't solve anything!
Anyway.
They failed! More people got killed because of them.
Yeah.
And why did Gus kill Edie? Why is
Eli?
I'll tell you why, because he's secretly trans, and that's my whole idea about this whole book.
Okay, no, so one other thing I want to bring up is the big social media snafu with this is that, like, oh, it's about like, the narrative there was, oh, this is about an artist who gets bullied by leftists on Twitter who get triggered over little things, and then they kill her. That was obviously a red herring to me, but also that seems to be a very small, borderline non-existent part of this book.
That is like not what the book is about, really.
That doesn't seem to be what this is like about, even in like a red herring sort of way.
It's because if you said like J.K. has written her 6th book about people eating and drinking, that nobody would get alarmed over it, and she just happened to be in it.
No, the book doesn't have anything to do with it. But the problem is also that that's not even the worst thing the book does.
Right. Like, well, the worst thing the book does is that the book is boring as fuck.
I got a boogie. But
see ya.
Love you,
buddy.
Where?
Daniel.
I think the worst thing. I mean, yeah, the book is kind of boring, but like at least it's kind of staggering in its boringness. Like at least we had a fun time with this, right?
Yeah.
But like it's actually actually like offensive, right? But it's offensive because of how fucking daft it is to its own fucking like cruelness and rudeness, right? Like if it was just like some screed and it was like I hate Palestinians and I think that every Palestinian mother should be like murdered, or if it was like some Nazi, like some other kind of Nazi shit, or if it was like, oh, you know, I hate British minorities. Like, okay, at least we know where to stand with this. This is like so unaware of how cruel it is towards the fucking simple dignity of being alive, being a human being. It's so fucked up, dude.
Yeah.
It's such a fucked up and bleak look on how relationships work too. Like these people only are so fucking stupid. It's so fucking frustrating. It's like, and it would be one thing. It was like, oh, our main character is damaged beyond all belief, and like there's some degree to that. But it's like, make him not your fucking main character. You wrote 6 books with this motherfucker, and this is where we're at.
Yeah, that amazes me that this is the 6th book, and they like almost share a kiss at the beginning, and it shadows like 1,000 pages. It's like, how? What have they been doing for the last 5
And
books?
there's like nothing interesting about this guy. The only thing he does is talk to people and eat. And then occasionally a clue falls into his lap that he does nothing to actually earn. And then he gets his ass beat over and over and over again. Wow, great reading about this guy.
Also. And then the clue is nothing also. We were kidding.
Yes, and then the whole mystery. None of it mattered! None of it mattered!
Because it was a random trans fan that locked themselves in a fucking
Wait,
basement.
okay, but is there any actual implication
No.
that they're doing? I'm not really clear that they are.
No.
Any what?
No, there wasn't anything like that. You're hallucinating.
Who is?
You.
Me?
The person wasn't
They
trans.
said the fucking enemy talked like either a gay person or a woman.
No, I really do think that's the subtext of the book.
Or it's supposed to be, but it doesn't really do.
I don't think the subtext. Okay, I don't.
Like it's spread thin, but they really do. Like they spend a ton of time, and maybe it's a little bit like so you're still guessing who Anomi is, right? Like it could be a woman or a man, and various people are convinced that it's a woman or a man. And when it turns out to be this shut-in loser kid, I really do think that J.K. is making a statement like this total virgin loser whose whole identity is made from references, and he built this, and also she has no respect for programming, so she thinks it's as easy as writing her goddamn terrible children's book. She's like, oh, well, he just programmed this shitty game that he didn't even, it's not even his original idea, and he just wants to be me. He went so bad to live in my skin. And again, if you're thinking at it from the perspective of J.K. Rowling, J.K. does not believe that trans people ever really deeply feel that they are another gender. They do it for selfish and sexual reasons, right? So she has written this character who's this sexually frustrated male that can't do anything in his life, that fantasizes about rape constantly. And what does he do? He becomes obsessed with this beautiful woman who is creative, and he sees him in her, and he pretends to be Paperwhite, who's this beautiful woman who flirts with every man on the server because also he's a gay man, and that's also what she like really believes about trans women, right? I do think that's what's written
Okay.
in.
I didn't pick up on some of that. I didn't pick up on some of that stuff because I was dissociating over some of this shit.
I think that's fair. I don't think it's that like explicitly about trans people, but I think it's about like people online faking who they are.
But
yeah.
Textually, it's not, but you could read it that way.
Yeah,
I think we did, we laughed about the pedo a little bit, but like Tim's online persona is like this social justice warrior who endlessly cancels other people despite the fact that he is an active pedophile, right? Which is also like something that she's like trying to say about Twitter.
This book is a lot like Drakengard.
No, it's not. Drakengard's
in that you could have stopped at any time, and also there's a pedophile.
I particularly love just slamming that on Beam.
I glossed over. Well, I didn't gloss over. I didn't mention Nils going on Pez talking about how Nils breaks down white people into 5 different races of white people, and that the one that Nils is the Nordic one, and it's the superior one. And there's like Alpine. They name a bunch of them.
Is this where the fucking where is the ending of the Nazi plotline? The Ultima Thule shit.
It doesn't.
I have no idea.
It doesn't end.
I don't know if it goes.
It just stops. It stops.
Many of the plot lines.
They all get rounded up at the end of my chapter. I'm sorry about that. That's like part of the pressure that he's putting on Gasman. He's like, all those Nazis are in jail. Didn't you see the news?
Well, that's just the hook.
Oh, sorry.
That's just the hook for the book that's like 3 books down the line or something.
Right. I mean, maybe it's just a way to sell more books, but goddamn, like none of the plots, literally not one plot from this book gets resolved, except who done it to EDF.
Why is Zoltan in there from Club Penguin? Why is he there? Why is he introduced at like the 900th page?
I think you're meant to understand that he is Gus. He's been Gus the whole time.
Zoltan?
Gus has been some kind of a weird puppet master from the very start, like from the beginning. I think is what is
my stupid puppet master.
They should have gone even further and had him be every single moderator on the server.
Then why not have like Gus the character like appear more, so we have like a vague sensation that this person may still be like misleading us.
So does Gus just get brained by does he just get brained by 2 random people?
He's brained by Gus is brained by what's her name? By
Robin.
Oh, okay. Because you mentioned like he let the neighbor Strike let the neighbors in. Okay, because I was starting to get some fucking Deadly Prey flashbacks where the movie ends with a person with like a character you've never seen before just beating the villain, and then it cuts to credits.
It might be that. Actually.
Dangerous Men. That's the movie I was thinking of.
It might be that actually. Let me see.
I also skipped a couple of my screenshots to save time. Here's a so when Robin and Strike were interviewing Josh, half paralyzed man Josh, Josh is like crying over a glass of water that someone brought him that he can't drink, and I'm like, why did they bring him that? And
we think it's funny to do this to him.
And Strike helps Josh blow his nose at one point, like very manly and efficiently way. And here's the description. When tears had finally burst from Josh, Robin somehow felt it was her proper job as the only woman in the room, an idea perhaps implanted by the sight of overwhelmingly female nursing staff they'd passed on their way through the hospital. Yet Strike had done it, and done it with precisely the undemonstrative male efficiency Blay had felt able to accept.
Fuck.
Robin soon became angry with herself for dwelling on that unexpected display of empathy. This wasn't the way you fell out of love, and she once again employed the reliable counter-irritants of reminding herself about Strike's new girlfriend and his ill-defined involvement in his ex-fiance's divorce case. And I was like, these are all new concepts to me in one sentence.
Oh my
and
god,
this
the
is
divorce
also
case
like
is
the
so
worst thing
ancillary. There's so
Also,
much shit that doesn't matter.
Also, like Robin's decision making is so bizarre. Like her character's motivations, like why she likes any of these weirdos she's like supposed to like it none of it makes any fucking sense. I don't understand her character at all.
Me neither. When Strike says that the detective, so Strike, who was still sometimes visited in his dreams by the severed torso of, get this, Sergeant Gary Topley, who'd been ripped in two by the blast that took Strike's leg, understood survivor's guilt and the shame that infused the... Yes, because also every couple of paragraphs, Josh would break down crying about how he caused Edie's death. That section is fucking horrendous, by the way.
Josh, about the letters.
Huh?
I thought this is why I thought Josh was dead. Why did they have to hear it from Grant that there were 2 letters? If they had a succession, maybe they only found it right at the end.
They
and just...
talked to Josh, and that is mentioned during their conversation with Josh in my section, but I don't remember exactly what it is. But yeah, there's something about letters that like they're supposed to dig up Edie's grave and get letters or something. I don't know. I don't fucking know. Maybe Riley knows. It was in this frame of mind, with the smell of hospital disinfectant still metaphorically in his nostrils, that Strike set out for his early dinner. I just love JK having to be like, this is a metaphor in the middle of this. I didn't write this very well.
I know, right? Just use subtext, and you're all cowards.
We're all cowards. Let's see it. Yes, the teeth clashing, lolicon. You is bad, Stony Muckfluck Wah. Yeah, okay, there we go.
Ram
also all my things.
Ram doesn't matter at all. Fucking Ram doesn't matter. Pez doesn't matter. Pez doesn't give them anything interesting.
Got a big cock though.
Pez has a big
cock. That's his main thing. Is just to give fucking Robin some kind of weird like.
She literally wrote 1,200 pages of fucking ramblings, where nothing happens until the last 100.
Well, at least we know the big penises.
I feel like there was something else about Nils. The segment with Nils is very entertaining. I encourage everyone to read the segment. When she talks to Nils, because he's just like a sad nihilist. It's like suicide is good.
The other thing.
It's like suicide rules.
I was thinking that while reading the book. It was getting tempting.
The other thing I want to name too is like, never mind. I'm just pissing myself off.
Oh, and I forgot about Hugh Jax.
Hugh Jax.
Yeah, she forgets to call Hugh Jax, and so she calls him much later. And Hugh Jax is like, yeah, so do you want to go out again still? Do you want to go out? And she's like, actually no. And he's like, well, that's really great because I've just been I just got out of my therapist because of all the depression that I've been dealing with. She's like, oh, well, I'm sorry. He's like, you bitch.
Oh my god.
That's the Hugh Jax thing. That's it. That's Hugh Jax. He was in, he was out.
He was on the ski trip. He had a divorce, and he was very sad, and wanted them to be sad together about their divorces.
Just like looking through my section again, there's all this shit that just doesn't need to be there. Like they get a little lost on the way to Cambridge, and it's like, why is there a whole page where like the GPS took them down a wrong turn?
I need to find the part where they list like five different bars that they go to, and they're all called the something. One of them is the Cambridge. One of them is the gun. I really need to figure out. Hang on, I gotta find this. It's so funny.
Fucking UK is a country without actual restaurants. It's just fucking pubs.
Yeah, the Cambridge. Doom Bar.
Okay, Doom Bar kind of goes hard.
Yeah.
Doom Bar?
Is it King's? Yeah, Doom Bar. The Tottenham, the Angel. Yeah. Oh my god. Nutley. Fucking Nutley. The stuff on Edit. You sure he wasn't saying Reddit? Ask Strike. What? Reddit. Yeah, it might have been.
It might have been.
But they're really arty. But like I say, she was kind of hysterical. It was hard to hear exactly what was going on. They're all really arty types, though, and aren't they? So I thought Edit might be some.
Man, I can't wait to not remember this.
Fucking okay. Good job, Nutley. Said Strike. Good job, Nutley. Huh?
Nutley's one of the fucking morons who works for them, right?
Yeah, Nutley is one of the moron PIs.
I would classify
Nutley-
everyone who works there as a moron.
Oh, Barclay's the one who speaks in like Irish Ebonics, right?
Irish, Josh does as well. Although not Irish, I don't know what language.
I think I was with him. I think I was with him.
God
I'll
damn.
think with my brain.
The farver of the child.
Farver.
You
The
know,
farver.
JK hates someone when they sound like an enemy in Bloodborne.
Yeah.
Or every NPC in The Witcher. Oi, Geralt!
Most available pussy on general apps such as Twitter, Tumblr, etc. Trend liberal SJW.
He warned me he was gonna do something, and I ignored it.
Bad book.
Bad book.
Guessing you haven't
after
read-
all that, I gotta say, don't know if I can give it higher than a 7 out of 10.
True.
Oh my god.
I think you, Hunter, I think you mentioned some interest in the conspiracy theory book that was attached to this. Maybe you didn't.
I mentioned the trigger warning thing, and I also mentioned I was just talking about some of the history of different words and stuff like that. I looked up the first, I looked up the first use of SJW, which appears to have been in 2012, but again, it was used by leftists then.
Something else that I left out was the book really wants you to think that it's Nils. Like, the book really wants you to think that it's Nils, which is why it's obvious that it isn't, and I didn't guess that it was. But it's like
The book wants you to
funny.
think that it's Nils, and then at the end it's like Zoe's like, it's Nils, and then they dispense with that in 2 seconds by calling Zoe a moron. They're like,
You fucking moron, Zoe. He's the red herring, you dumb bitch.
Zoe's
Shut up.
just like a fucking reader of this book.
Because also there's like a bunch of tweets from Anomi that they show during their interview with Josh, and it says there can only be one, and then like a bunch of Greek letters, and then the next chapter they go talk to Josh, and he's like, "Oh, my Greek letters that I love." Okay, so that's where I was like, well, it's either fucking, it would be him or Wally, but it's not going to be him, and Wally also feels like a red herring, but I guess it's fucking Wally. I don't like, or it's Tim Ashcroft, the pedo.
Nope, it's Gus. It's the
But
fucking...
no, it's Gus. It's someone you've never heard of.
A literal nobody.
I mentioned him
Bet you didn't guess
once.
that.
I mentioned him once as the fat kid of Inigo and Katia, who was covered in hives. That's where he was in my chapter.
Was he afraid of dogs in your chapter?
Yeah, they mentioned that once.
They mentioned that Flavia wanted them to get a dog, but that they couldn't because Gus was like afraid of them because he got bit.
Do you have the description of Gus easily, like right in front of you? I'm trying to find it in your chapter right now, but
Look up hives. Just control F hive.
yeah. Let me see. Hives.
Yeah, urticaria. They don't say hives.
No, they say hives.
Do they say hives? Okay.
Hives. If he's Anobi, he'd bloody bug the upstairs. A bad case of
well,
hives and a cello aren't good enough reasons to not have a good look at him.
Also, he's like described as like playing the cello, right? One thing that is pretty common among like incel-y types is that they don't have hobbies. Like they don't like have pursuits, things that they're good at or that they love. This character fucking makes no goddamn sense. Oh, it's so fucking annoying, this book.
And the way he kind of turns into like this like slasher monster at the end, I think is really contrived. It's just
Yeah, he just murders his family.
Yeah, it's like, oh, okay, and then he's like, oh, I'm gonna rape you, ooh, you know, and it's like he didn't know about that. It's just sucks.
Well, you see, Wasim, they do say you don't get that good at the cello by sitting around on the computer all day. So they got you there, Wasim. he just is good at the cello, even though he's always playing it and always
It's
online.
in his
both.
white jeans.
Oh, this is the thing. Which one? Fucking J.K. Rowling doesn't know anything about anything.
Gus didn't get into the Royal College of Music by playing them records. I'm not saying he never plays, So they are very suspicious of Gus, and then I guess they don't ever.
And they give up.
They just don't. They just
forgot.
anyway.
they
They
just
forgot, and J.K. put it so early in the book that you're gonna forget that the character exists by the end of the book. Wow.
Supposed to feel like she sprinkled enough clues or whatever for us to understand, and to be like,
she put a clump of clues in
one chapter, very
in
far
one part, and then tells you that they're clues at the end.
Yeah.
Right.
Oh, by the way, the person plays the cello, has highs, and is afraid of dogs. Do you remember when I said that someone has highs, plays the cello, is afraid of dogs, and gets on the computer all the time?
Like 200
You remember that, right?
ago.
This feels like if I
600
wrote a
pages
table.
ago?
This feels like if I wrote a tabletop campaign and I left a bunch of clues for how it could be any one person, and then whichever one the players guessed at the end, I said, "Yep, you got it. You were right."
Yep.
But then you guys shit posted and you picked this random person.
Yeah, it was Gus.
Here's another thing she could have done, right? We're also omniscient, so we know Enomi did it the whole time. Okay, then so the idea is the book is not even who did it; it's who is Enomi, right?
Yeah.
Is it on its face a less interesting proposal?
Yeah,
Enomi-
I was like, oh, it's not going to be enemy. That'll be the fun thing.
But the thing is,
Yeah, I
like,
considered
Enomi is
that.
not.
Maybe Enemy was like a person who was chasing clout, like the clout
Yeah.
of being a murderer,
Exactly.
and they didn't actually have the balls to go through with it and earn that murder, and then it was someone even more sinister or fucked up,
Well, here's another way that this would have required some changes, but if we were gonna have a weird omniscient look, right, at the group chats, and it would be one thing again if it was omniscient, but our characters also get to join in that omniscience because they're put in the group chat randomly for some fucking reason. Seems like it would be pretty easy to solve the mystery at any goddamn point in this fucking thing by contacting the police with the information that you have. Anyway, that doesn't matter. What she could have done is a whodunit within the mod chats, right? The moderators all find this horrible, but they know that one among them did it. And then it's not. Then it's like which one of us did it, and it could have two parallel mysteries going back and forth that kind of interface with the real world. That could be kind of a more interesting. That's that's where I thought it was gonna go, but no. Very quickly, I was like, oh, actually, everyone knows that it's enemy. Even people on Twitter have hashtags like "Stop Enemy." Wouldn't the fucking be on this? How did you guys not I don't know. So anyway, it's
but if we'd done it that way, we wouldn't have been able to hear about Strike's stump.
His gross pus stump barfing on the sidewalk.
And him being upset about girls not liking him.
Robin is the one who plays the game and gets involved in the moderator stuff, and every time she brings it up, Strike is really awkward about it. He's like, oh, the game. And he's so uncomfortable with the central idea of the story. That there's this game that is going to be critically important to them.
He doesn't want to actually engage with the mystery. He's the worst detective I've ever seen.
He is actually such a shithead.
Jake wanted to write the story, but she had a mystery novel series going, and she was like, oh god, how is Strike gonna even connect to this? What is he gonna do? And so he has to be involved with his wife the entire time.
Maybe the idea is, I guess what she's going for is well, because Strike is such incompetent, it's actually his girl boss, hot babe, employee, guys. This is another thing. This is a fucking workplace sexual misconduct. I'm sorry.
No, wait, Wasim, you left out at the end. Strike changes the name from CA Strike Detective Agency to CA and R Ellicott Detective Agency.
Oh yeah, he adds her to the fucking D.
They're partners.
Yeah.
I also J.K. Rowling doesn't understand because if it's an online chat, you can figure out the fucking IP.
Yeah,
right?
you can get IPs for anyone.
I think the idea. I think it was implied that because Vikas Morehouse is such a fucking like Indian brain coder genius that like he, which cool. He like puts some kind of a I don't know how to describe this, like impenetrable firewall into the game, which like in and of itself would be kind of an interesting.
You
plot
can't
point.
take screenshots, dude. The game won't let you.
Right.
Sure.
It just won't let you.
Who made the game though?
They don't even describe why it wouldn't let them. It literally says it. They literally just said she tried to take a screenshot, but it wouldn't let her. She just just imagine how it didn't happen. Come up with any explanation you want for why it didn't happen.
Or like what server is being used for this game, for this online game.
Right.
Like that has to be on all the time.
Also, like
y'all, Kiwi Farms got taken down earlier this year. Like,
yeah, she doesn't know what that is. She doesn't know what a server is.
Every single one of the characters is also like maximally fast and loose with all information at all times. Like, especially the moderators, they fucking spill the beans for nothing. Like, how the fuck did people like
these fuckers would have talked eventually without any detectives?
But they did. The detectives didn't do anything.
Yeah, which is what happened.
Yeah, they literally do.
like they just happened to stumble upon the evening that that Gus decides. They actually probably accelerated the process of Gus killing his family by outing Enemy as paperweight in the IRC chat at the end of the fucking book.
They didn't need to do that.
No, they didn't.
It was just dramatic. Like
it's dramatic. It's just flexing.
They did that they just showed their hand.
Yeah.
They're like, look at my cards really quick. Is there anything you'd like to do before we come and find you? Like killing your parents?
Yeah. Exactly.
You could do that, and then we'll come over. You could also like get away, but I guess not.
No, dude, but Strike doesn't want to be dragged into court proceedings because then he'll become famous and then people will know who he is, which would make him ineffective as a detective. He and Robin need to be able to make these dramatic stands and completely show their hands and give their suspects time to plan their next move against them. Good God.
Who hired them also?
The company that's making the Netflix documentary.
Maverick?
That was Alan Yeoman, the agent, and the uncle, Grant.
Well, all I can say is, yo, man, this book sucks.
Oh, do you guys want to know something that doesn't make any fucking sense? Those phone calls that the detective agency is receiving and that Grant is receiving that say, oh, dig up Edie, you'll find who Anomi is, dig up Edie, read the letter. Those phone calls were coming from Flavia.
What?
It doesn't make any sense.
What?
Flavia was using the Darth Vader voice?
Because, like, Flavia knew that they were investigating, and she was kind of hopeful they would come back to the house and maybe find out that her brother was kind of fucked up, because I think she just knew. And that was the thing, is she saw her brother change the letters out.
She literally walked with them alone in the fucking down the street.
She's a stupid kid. So she calls them, but what doesn't make any goddamn sense is why she would have Alan Yeoman's phone number.
She's a stupid kid, but she knows enough to disguise her voice.
They specifically say, Bram showed me these voice-changing apps.
God damn it.
Okay.
That's the weird
Great.
part.
Great. Very
Yup.
good.
I am gonna go out. I'm done.
I think we're spinning.
Yeah, I think that's it. We're spinning much like the 1,000 pages did.
Yep.
Wheels spinning.
Fire.
That was great. I was glad to do whatever the fuck that was. Let's not do it again. I don't know. No, I'd be fine to read other stuff, but maybe not another JK book. Holy shit.
Yeah, no more Cormoran Strike, but what a look into hell that was.
All right, friends, I'm gonna go. Love you all so much.
See
Bye
ya.
bye.
Bye.
Oh my god.
Okay.
What a shit show.
Oh my god. The euphoria of having all that out of my system.
What can I
It's
say but
truly a release.
book bad?